Chapter 111. In this place where the air was colorful, it was not strange for the soil to be dark red. After successfully harvesting the seeds and transplanting a few young vines, his goal was successfully achieved. The next step was naturally to return home. He followed the original path and quickly ran out of the Poison Dragon Valley. Along the way, there were a few rank 1 poisonous snakes blocking his way. He did not dare to kill them casually as there were rank 2 poisonous snakes in the Poison Dragon Valley. The rank 2 poisonous snakes either did not notice him or did not put him in their eyes. But if he killed the poisonous snakes, the smell of blood would spread and he would definitely be exposed. Furthermore, this was considered a provocation to the rank 2 poisonous snakes. His goal was to leave this damned place, and it was not worthwhile to go against the poisonous snakes. After taking a few detours, he finally succeeded in leaving the Poison Dragon Valley. Things went so smoothly that he did not dare to believe it. Before coming, he speculated that it was Gao Yuan who set a trap for him. This trip was not considered to be a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, but there should be some difficulties and obstacles, right? He had painstakingly prepared more than 100 low-grade rank 2 spirit talismans and had not touched a single one until now. Could it be that he had been fighting with the air? After leaving the Poison Dragon Valley with doubts, Wang Daoist once again released the soul-chasing bees to pave the way and returned to the 100 Rivers Lake. After traveling for more than 50 kilometers, the Black Cloud Mountain was very close to him and was about 15 kilometers in front of him. Suddenly, the soul-chasing bees in the spirit beast pouch at his waist reported to him that the few soul-chasing bees in front of him had been exterminated. He made a prompt decision and ordered the scouting soul-chasing bees to change their direction from northwest to north and released more than 10 soul-chasing bees to make up for the losses. Before the scouting soul-chasing bees could change their direction, a mournful wolf howl sounded from the south. Soon after, wolf howls sounded from the north and west. He seemed to be surrounded by a pack of wolves from 3 sides. His only way out was to the east, which was the direction of the sky/mountain range's main vein. The further east he went, the denser the spirit chi was and the higher the rank of the demonic beasts. The rogue cultivators of the oasis would go at most 250 kilometers in the east. It was said that if he continued to go east, rank 2 demonic beasts would be everywhere and rank 3 demonic beasts would be very common. Usually, no rogue cultivator would be willing to go there, but Wang Daoist had no choice at this time. The wolf pack of Black Cloud Mountain had a wolf king. If one was entangled by this pack of wolves, even a foundation establishment cultivator would find it difficult to escape. If they didn't go east, they would die without a doubt. If they went east, there was still a way out. He didn't have time to recall the soul-chasing bees, so he had to release more than 50 of them to lead the way to the east. Wang Daoist no longer used a Tier 1 talisman. Instead, he directly used a Tier 2 low-grade Spirit Strider talisman that he had just refined. He ordered the soul-chasing bees to advance at full speed while he followed closely behind. Although he still had a mid-grade Tier 2 Divine Strider talisman, after using it, his speed was even faster than the soul-chasing wasp. The soul-chasing bee could no longer scout ahead. It could only barge its way through the demonic beasts. In such a situation, it would be the same as if he had turned around and fought the dark cloud wolves to the death. Death was inevitable. The only difference was whether he would die heroically or in a cowardly manner. Apart from the Wolf King, the rest of the dark cloud wolves were only rank 1 upper-grade demonic beasts. After Wang Daoist used the Tier 2 Divine Strider talisman, he quickly left the dark cloud wolves more than 5 kilometers behind. He didn't let his guard down and continued to run east. After an hour, he could no longer hear the howls of the dark cloud wolves. He heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally left the wolves behind. He took out the map and compared it. He found that he was now more than 400 kilometers away from the 100 Rivers Lake. Fortunately, he had left the dark cloud wolves behind. If he continued to move forward, he would enter the legendary place where rank 2 demonic beasts were everywhere. Although he didn't encounter any demonic beasts after running for a few hundred kilometers, it wasn't easy either. The newly bred Wasp King and the worker bees under it were all dead. He could only put the new Wasp King back into the Spirit Pearl space and put the old Wasp King and more than 1,000 worker bees into the Spirit Beast pouch to scout ahead. After running for a few hundred kilometers, he had lost more than 500 soul-chasing bees. This was the result of the soul-chasing bees being sensitive to spirit beasts and being able to avoid them in advance. Since he had escaped from the encirclement, he couldn't continue to head east. He ordered the soul-chasing bees to head north at full speed while he continued to use the low-grade level 2 spirit travel talisman to follow behind. After 15 minutes, the Wasp King warned that the soul-chasing bees in front of him were all dead. Moreover, it took less than 3 breaths of time for the soul-chasing bees to be killed after being attacked. Wang Daoyuan felt his hair stand on end. The soul-chasing bees were scouting ahead and flying in a scattered manner. Either there was a group of demonic beasts lying in ambush ahead, or there was a rank 2 demonic beast. Otherwise, it was impossible to kill all the soul-chasing bees so quickly. He was about to continue running east when he saw a dark cloud wolf coming from 3 kilometers north. The dark cloud wolf was extremely fast. It was much faster than Wang Daoyuan using the low-grade level 2 spirit travel talisman. To be able to run so fast, it was definitely a rank 2 demonic beast. This should be the Wasp King of the Dark Cloud Wolves. At this time, there was no hope of escaping unless he used the mid-grade level 2 spirit travel talisman. However, he couldn't use the soul-chasing bees to scout ahead. It would be easy to bump into a rank 2 demonic beast's nest and be killed by other rank 2 demonic beasts. Rather than die without knowing why, he might as well fight to the death with this dark cloud wolf. If he used all his means, he might be able to severely injure this dark cloud wolf. He immediately activated 5 low-grade level 2 earth armor talismans and kept the jade pendant on him, ready to be activated at any time. At this time, the dark cloud wolf was still more than a kilometer away from him. He immediately began to use the golden rock wrestling dragon technique to form the golden rock phantom. At this time, he only had the feather blades and the soul-extinguishing bell that could severely injure the Wolf King. Once the soul-extinguishing bell rang, a rank 2 demonic beast would definitely come over. It wasn't impossible to attract a rank 3 demonic beast. He couldn't be careless until the last moment. Therefore, he could only use the golden rock wrestling dragon technique. After more than half a year of hard work, the golden rock phantom he formed had a wingspan of 12 feet. He could form 200 golden feathers at once, and the time needed to form the golden rock phantom had also been reduced to about 3 breaths. When he used the golden rock wrestling dragon technique now, its power had already surpassed Zheng Kang's. When the golden rock phantom had just formed, the Wolf King was already more than 10 feet away from him. The Wolf King looked at the golden rock phantom with some fear in its eyes. It turned to look at Wang Daoyuan's feet, and its eyes were filled with hatred and a desire to kill. "Awoe!" the Wolf King howled at the sky. Then, more than 10 beast roars came from the surroundings. These roars were very intimidating and made Wang Daoyuan tremble with fear. They should be the roars of rank 2 demonic beasts. The Wolf King roared again, and the other demonic beasts didn't respond. No demonic beasts came over. Wang Daoyuan guessed that the Wolf King's roar must have alerted the surrounding rank 2 demonic beasts and made them question the Wolf King's purpose. After the Wolf King explained, the other rank 2 demonic beasts ignored it. It stared at Wang Daoyuan's feet and suddenly pounced at him. Wang Daoyuan controlled the golden rock phantom to block it. The Wolf King and the golden rock collided and bit each other a few times, then retreated. Although he didn't directly fight the Wolf King and didn't feel any pain, he still had to bear the force of the collision between the Wolf King and the Golden Rock. Although he didn't appear to be at a disadvantage in this exchange, his blood and chi were surging inside his body, and the Golden Rock Phantom had become much dimmer. Chapter 112. After 2 more collisions like this, the Golden Rock's shadow would probably collapse. Although the Wolf King was scratched a few times by the Golden Rock, they were all superficial wounds and were not serious. Wang Daoyuan immediately increased the output of spiritual power and restored the Golden Rock's shadow to its original state. But if this continues, his spiritual power will not be able to bear it. He can't fight the Wolf King head-on anymore. He must pull away and attack it with the feather blade. The Wolf King adjusted for a while and pounced on him again. This time, he didn't control the golden rock's shadow to fight the Wolf King head-on. Instead, he let the golden rock send a feather blade at him, and then used the cloud escape to quickly dodge, and threw a golden knife talisman. The Wolf King rushed to the place where he was before, and the feather blade and the golden knife just arrived. If it was a rank 1 monster, the battle would be over. But the Wolf King is a rank 2 monster. Its speed and flexibility are not comparable to a rank 1 monster. As soon as it landed, it immediately dodged and successfully avoided the attack of the golden knife, but the feather blade was not easy to dodge. After more than half a year of practice, Wang Daoyuan's feather blade has surpassed the power of the golden sword technique, and the spiritual power consumption is only 60% of the golden sword technique. Although there is still a big gap between the power and the golden sword technique, the speed is much faster. The feather blade flew, and the Wolf King couldn't completely avoid it and was scratched by the feather blade. The feather blade left a half-foot-long wound on the side of the Wolf King's body, but the wound was very shallow and not on the limbs, so it didn't affect the Wolf King much. In this confrontation, Wang Daoyuan had to use 2 spells at the same time, plus the golden knife talisman, but he only had a slight advantage. The Wolf King only suffered a little flesh wound, and the spiritual power consumption was very little. He didn't think that he could ignore the Wolf King's strength just because he could fight back and forth with it. Rank 2 monsters have innate spells. According to the rogue cultivator who sold him the map, this Wolf King is not an ordinary rank 2 monster. Its innate spells should not be weak. And the Wolf King is only using its physical strength to deal with him. Its innate spells have not been used yet. The Wolf King suffered a small loss and no longer fought head-on. It began to run around Wang Daoyuan, waiting for him to reveal a flaw, and then strike. Every time, he had to rely on the cloud mist escape to avoid it. Sometimes, he would counterattack with the golden knife talisman or the feather blade, but the Wolf King kept running, and his hit rate was terrible. The man and the wolf exchanged blows more than 10 times, but Wang Daoyuan only managed to hit the Wolf King 3 times, and they were all superficial wounds. From the start of the fight until now, although Wang Daoyuan was not injured at all, he had already used up about 40% of his spiritual energy. In addition, the consumption of his spiritual energy was not small. While maintaining the Golden Rock Phantom, he also had to frequently use the Cloud Mist Escape. Using 2 extremely advanced spells at the same time required more spiritual sense power to control the circulation of the spiritual power in his body. The Wolf King, on the other hand, relied entirely on his physical strength and did not consume much spiritual energy. With the physique of a rank 2 monster beast, even if it was a high-intensity battle, it would not be a problem for Wang Daoyuan to fight for a day or 2. He maintained the Golden Rock's illusory image and couldn't use his cultivation technique to recover his spiritual power. Besides, the Wolf King's strength was far above his, so he didn't dare to be distracted. Taking advantage of the Wolf King's adjustment, he took out a jar of 40-year-old scarlet blood wine, drank a few mouthfuls, and then quickly put it away. The Wolf King smelled the scarlet blood wine and the rich spiritual energy. Knowing that this human was recovering his spiritual power, it pounced again. This time, Wang Daoyuan was distracted and couldn't completely dodge using the Cloud Mist Escape, so he took a claw from the Wolf King. 2 layers of the Earth Armor technique were instantly broken, and the 3rd layer was also much dimmer. The power of this claw also sent him flying 4 to 5 feet away. After landing, he felt a burning sensation in his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. He stood up and stuck 5 more Earth Armor talismans on his body. This time, the injury wasn't too serious, and he also took the opportunity to recover a lot of spiritual power. Overall, this battle was not a loss. But the Wolf King's strength was indeed a bit scary. It was not a direct collision, but a claw could still break 2 layers of the Earth Armor talisman. This was a rank 2 lower grade talisman, not something a rank 1 talisman could compare to. If this claw had landed on his body, the battle would probably have ended immediately. In terms of physical strength, this Wolf King could be considered an expert among rank 2 lower grade spirit beasts. The Wolf King didn't give him a chance to catch his breath after its successful attack and pounced again. Wang Daoyuan also immediately used the Cloud Mist Escape to dodge. He also controlled the golden rock phantom to release 2 feather blades and threw out 3 golden saber talismans. This time, he didn't get distracted and successfully dodged the Wolf King's attack. The Wolf King couldn't dodge easily. Even though it was nimble, its body was more than 3 feet long, making it too big of a target. The 5 attacks came from 2 directions, so it was difficult to dodge all of them. The Wolf King's intelligence wasn't low. It used all its strength to dodge the 3 golden sabers and take the 2 feather blades head-on. The golden sabers were rank 2 lower-grade talismans. Once hit, even if its physical body was strong, it would still be heavily injured. As for the feather blades, they were only slightly stronger than the golden sword technique. As long as it didn't hit a vital point, it would be very difficult to heavily injure it. The Wolf King dodged the 3 golden sabers, but its 2 front legs were scratched by the feather blades. Although the injury wasn't serious, it had some effect on its speed. As a result, the Wolf King's pouncing speed and dodging speed slowed down, reducing the pressure on him. With the situation changed, Wang Daoyuan also changed his tactics. He directly brought his clone Zhao Baogua out of the Spirit Pearl's space and handed him the 5 Dragon Soul Chasing Whip. Although Zhao Baogua had been refined into a clone, his cultivation was still there. He could use the 5 Dragon Soul Chasing Whip better than Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan had to maintain the Golden Rock Phantom and use the Cloud Mist Escape from time to time, so he didn't have time to use the 5 Dragon Soul Chasing Whip. Now that Zhao Baogua had been refined into a clone, he was telepathically connected with Wang Daoyuan. When the two worked together, their strength had more than doubled. With one more person suddenly on the battlefield, the Wolf King didn't know what to do. It first pounced on Zhao Baogua to test his strength. Although Zhao Baogua couldn't use the Cloud Mist Escape, he could still use the Spirit Walking technique. The Wolf King's 2 front legs were injured, so its speed was much slower. Zhao Baogua used the Spirit Walking technique to barely dodge the attack. How could Wang Daoyuan let the Wolf King attack? He urged the Golden Rock Phantom to shoot out 5 feathered blades. Zhao Baogua also lashed out with his whip. The Wolf King immediately dodged, but it was still scratched by 2 feathers. Zhao Baogua used the 5 Dragon Soul Chasing Whip. Its power was much greater than Wang Daoyuan's, and its speed was also much faster. It lashed out at the Wolf King's head. The whip's power was comparable to a feather's, leaving a bloody mark on the Wolf King's face. The Wolf King adjusted itself and pounced on Wang Daoyuan again. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the Cloud Mist Escape to dodge the attack and counterattacked with a feather. Zhao Baogua also lashed out with his whip. The Wolf King suffered another whip and a feather. The situation on the battlefield was completely reversed. From the Wolf King suppressing Wang Daoyuan, it became Wang Daoyuan and his clones suppressing the Wolf King. The Wolf King's spirit energy consumption wasn't great, but there were more than 10 wounds on its body. Although the wounds weren't deep, they were still bleeding. No matter how strong the Wolf King was, it was still a living creature. If it lost too much blood, it wouldn't be able to hold on. Seeing that it couldn't win, the Wolf King roared at the sky. More than 5 kilometers away, several wolf howls echoed in response. When Wang Daoyuan heard the wolf howls in the distance, he knew it was bad. The wolf pack had caught up. Chapter 113. Even Foundation establishment cultivators did not dare to touch a pack of black cloud wolves. They were not afraid of the Wolf King, but the entire pack. Once surrounded by a pack of first-rank high-grade black cloud wolves led by the Wolf King, a Foundation establishment cultivator would not be able to withstand it at all. If one wanted to escape on their sword, they would not be afraid of the black cloud wolves after flying. But before he could fly, the Wolf King would not just stand by and watch. If a Foundation establishment cultivator wanted to fly away on his sword, the Wolf King would pounce on him. The Foundation establishment cultivator would either have to give up on his sword and defend against the Wolf King's attack, or face the Wolf King's attack head-on. Even a Foundation establishment cultivator would not dare to face a pack of wolves head-on, not to mention Wang Daoyuan and his clone, 2 late-stage Qi refinement cultivators. Wang Daoyuan did not say anything and used a second-rank low-grade spirit travel talisman, turning his head and running north. His clone was connected to his mind and also used a spirit travel talisman to follow behind Wang Daoyuan. The Wolf King had suffered so many injuries, how could it let them escape so easily? It used all its spirit energy to chase after the two. The Wolf King's spirit energy was not only used on its legs. A large mass of pure spirit energy was condensed in its mouth, and the spirit energy fluctuations were getting stronger and stronger. When it was only 2 feet away from Wang Daoyuan, it spat out a mass of spirit energy. The mass of spirit energy was shaped like a full moon, emitting a dangerous aura. Wang Daoyuan had already expected that the Wolf King would not give up so easily, so he did not withdraw the Golden Rock's phantom and continued to follow him. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan controlled the Golden Rock's phantom and shot out all its feather blades. He estimated that it was not possible to block the Wolf King's attack with just the feather blades, so he also controlled the Golden Rock's phantom to pounce forward. Nearly 200 feather blades and the Golden Rock's phantom collided with the full moon spat out by the Wolf King. The full moon exploded into pieces, and the feather blades and the Golden Rock also shattered into a golden rain. When the shockwave erupted, Wang Daoyuan immediately used Cloud Mist Escape and instantly escaped more than 10 feet away. In this collision of spells, the Wolf King still had the upper hand. The aftermath of the explosion was mainly aimed at Wang Daoyuan. Even though he had fled more than 30 meters away, he was still affected by the shockwave, and a layer of the Earth Armor Talisman on his body was pierced through. The shockwave worsened Wang Daoyuan's internal injuries, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The doppelganger did not know how to use the Cloud Mist Escape, so it immediately used the Earth Escape technique to avoid the shockwave. The reason why Wang Daoyuan did not use the Earth Escape technique in the beginning was mainly because the Earth Escape technique was too slow. Moreover, with the divine sense of a rank 2 demonic beast, it would be able to discover if someone was underground nearby. Once the wolf pack caught up to him, unless he stayed underground for the rest of his life, he would be heavily surrounded the moment he came up. Moreover, the outer area of the heavenly/mountain range was filled with danger everywhere. He could not release the soul-chasing bees underground to open up a path. If he were to encounter a demonic beast that resided underground, he would definitely die. Wang Daoyuan and his doppelganger managed to dodge the shockwave, but the Wolf King wasn't so lucky. It was heading straight for the shockwave. He was only 20 to 30 feet away from the center of the explosion, but the shockwave sent him flying 50 to 60 feet away. However, because the Wolf King's spell had the upper hand, the shockwave in its direction was much weaker. After landing, it only spat out a mouthful of blood, roared angrily, and continued to chase. When fleeing for his life, the doppelganger would not be of any use and would even become a burden. Wang Daoyuan recalled his doppelganger and released the soul-chasing bees to open up a path in front of him. He continued to advance in the north direction. The Wolf King was not willing to give up. It circulated its spirit energy and continued to chase after Wang Daoyuan. The Wolf King had many injuries on its body, especially the injuries on its 2 front legs, which seriously affected its speed. At this time, the Wolf King's speed was only slightly faster than when Wang Daoyuan used the Divine Travel Talisman. Every time the Wolf King ran a certain distance, it would raise its head and howl. The surrounding rank 2 demonic beasts were all alarmed. It was impossible for Wang Daoyuan to sneak over quietly. Helpless, he could only constantly change his direction to avoid the rank 2 demonic beasts. He was originally heading north, but after changing directions many times, he was heading northeast. The Wolf King's speed was slightly faster than him. After running for a while, it closed the distance between it and Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan threw out 1 or 2 golden saber talismans, and the Wolf King had no choice but to dodge. The distance between the man and the wolf was pulled apart again. Although the Wolf King could not catch up to him for the time being, he did not dare to run so recklessly. If he continued east, he would be 500 miles away from the 100 Rivers Lake. That was an unexplored area. Without knowing the depth, he would die if he rashly entered. He had no choice but to send a voice transmission to the Wolf King. "Wolf King, I have no enmity with you. Why are you chasing me?" As a rank 2 demonic beast, the Wolf King also knew how to send a voice transmission. It replied, "You killed my son, And you still dare to say that you have no enmity with me? Wang Daoyuan cursed, bullshit. Before you, I had never seen a black cloud wolf. When did I kill your son? The Wolf King replied, your shoes have the smell of my son and the smell of blood. Wang Daoyuan recalled his experience along the way. He had been paying attention to his feet and did not touch the black cloud wolf's corpse. He sent a voice transmission, I went to the Poison Dragon Valley once. I might have stepped on it there. I have never seen your son. The Wolf King did not believe him at all. Humans are cunning and only know how to lie. You killed my son. I will kill you to avenge him. When a scholar meets a soldier, it is impossible to reason with him. The black cloud wolf did not listen to his explanation. Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to continue running forward. Once he stopped, the black cloud wolf pack would quickly catch up. Wang Daoyuan used all his strength to use the feather blade and controlled the golden rock phantom to resist the full moon spat out by the Wolf King. He only had 20 to 30% of his spiritual energy left. He took out the aged scarlet blood wine and drank a few mouthfuls to recover his spiritual energy. He thought to himself, it seems that I have no choice but to enter the unknown area today. Before that, I should recover my spiritual energy and divine sense first. He took out some hidden cloud tea and directly threw it into his mouth. He chewed the tea leaves to recover his divine sense. After that, he took out a rejuvenation pill and ate it to heal his internal injuries. With one chasing and the other fleeing, Wang Daoyuan quickly entered the unknown area 500 miles east of the 100 Rivers Lake. At this point, the Wolf King did not dare to roar and scream. With the soul-chasing bees leading the way, he went more than 30 miles into the unknown area and successfully avoided several mountains with rank 2 demonic beasts. The road in front of him became rugged and difficult to walk. He had to avoid the rank 2 demonic beasts along the way. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk through the border of the rank 2 demonic beasts territory. After running for another 10 miles, Wang Daoyuan sadly found that there was no road ahead. He was standing on a cliff and below was a deep valley. There were rank 2 demonic beasts entrenched on both sides. These soul-chasing bees were really stubborn. He told them to avoid the demonic beasts, but they only knew how to avoid the monsters. They did not know how to avoid the cliff. The soul-chasing bees could fly, so they did not care about the cliff. However, Wang Daoyuan could not fly. The cliff opposite the deep valley was more than 3 miles away from him. Unfortunately, he was not a Foundation establishment cultivator. This 3 miles wide deep valley was the gate of hell for him. The Wolf King quickly caught up. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had nowhere to go, it roared excitedly. It directly rushed up and fought with Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan condensed the golden rock phantom again. This time, there was no way to escape. He could only fight with his back to the river. The Wolf King rushed up, but he did not dodge at all. He threw out a few golden knife talismans, and then the golden rock phantom released all the feather blades at once. The Wolf King dodged most of the attacks, but there were still more than 20 wounds on its body. The Wolf King also fought fiercely and did not retreat. It held the feather blades and pounced on Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan directly summoned the soul-extinguishing bell. If he did not kill the Wolf King, he had no way to survive. He was not afraid of attracting other rank 2 demonic beasts. Chapter 114. When the Wolf King saw him take out the soul-extinguishing bell, it knew that it was not easy to deal with him, so it stopped charging. He would not give the Wolf King a chance to escape and directly activated the soul-extinguishing bell. After the bell rang, the Wolf King directly fell to the ground. The nearby rank 2 demonic beasts also let out angry roars. Although they were far away and the bell could not hurt them, this was a provocation. Wang Daoyuan had been forced to a dead end, so he did not care about them. After all, the Wolf King was a rank 2 monster, so it would not be finished like this. It quickly got up and fled. Wang Daoyuan activated the soul-extinguishing bell 2 more times, and the Wolf King had already escaped some distance away. These 2 bell rings did not cause as much damage to the Wolf King as the first one. As a rank 2 monster, although the Wolf King was injured by the soul-extinguishing bell, it was not to the extent that it lost its fighting strength. It lay on the ground, spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood, and stumbling a little, but it still walked toward Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan took out the aged scarlet blood wine from the space of the spirit pearl, drank a few mouthfuls, and circulated his spirit energy with all his strength. The golden rock phantom once again grew 200 feather blades. At this time, countless wolf howls sounded, and a large group of black cloud wolves rushed over like a black cloud, pressing toward the cliff. The black cloud wolves had arrived, so he had no chance. Wang Daoyuan controlled the golden rock phantom and released all the feathers to hit the wolves. Then, he controlled the golden rock phantom to pounce on the wolves and then detonated the phantom. The Wolf King thought that he killed its son, and if he was caught alive, it would be difficult for him to die. Besides, he had the space of the spirit pearl, so if his main body died, he could still live by taking over his clone. Even if it was harder to cultivate in the future, at least he could still live. If he fell into the hands of the Wolf King and died, the space of the spirit pearl would be exposed, and his clone would have no way to survive. He did not see the destructive effect of the golden rock phantom's self-destruction, and turned around and jumped off the cliff. Wang Daoyuan felt a burst of despair in his heart. He had risked his life many times and saw that the golden core inheritance was in sight, but he did not expect that there was no hope. Unfortunately, he could not fly. Yun-Yi had recognized him as her master and could sense his thoughts. A tiger roar sounded in the space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan then remembered that there was still Yun. Although it hadn't been long since this little fellow learned how to fly, at least it could fly. He summoned Yun-Yi out of the space, and the cloud patterns on Yun-Yi's shoulders instantly turned into 2 10-foot-long wings. These wings weren't real, but were formed from spiritual energy in the form of clouds. This should be Yun-Yi's innate ability. No wonder it took so much effort for Yun-Yi to learn how to fly. It took her more than a year to learn how to fly normally. Wang Daoyuan rode on Yun-Yi's back and let Yun-Yi fly him to the opposite cliff. Unfortunately, Yun-Yi had just learned how to fly not long ago, and her cultivation was only at the mid-grade of the first stage. If it wasn't stable, it would be even more difficult to carry another person. Although it tried its best to flap its wings, the man and the tiger continued to fall. Wang Daoyuan released the soul-chasing bees again and let them bite his clothes and pull up with all their might. Unfortunately, although the soul-chasing bees could fly fast, they weren't good at carrying heavy loads. More than 1,000 soul-chasing bees still couldn't stop the downward trend. However, it wasn't useless. At least they fell much slower. Wang Daoyuan didn't expect to fly to the opposite cliff. It was fine as long as he could fall to the bottom of the valley and not fall to his death. He ordered Yun-Yi and the soul-chasing bees to land at the bottom of the valley. Yun-Yi and the soul-chasing bees no longer struggled to pull up. Instead, they stretched out their wings and glided down. This valley was thousands of feet deep. If they fell down directly, there was no hope of survival. However, it was much better for Yun-Yi to glide down. At least she could save her life. Yun-Yi glided down diagonally and soon reached the bottom of the valley. Wang Daoyuan stuck a few earth armor talismans on himself and Yun-Yi. After landing, the man and tiger glided more than 200 feet on the ground. There were rocks of all sizes on the ground. If not for the protection of the earth armor talismans, this gliding distance was enough to take their lives. Although Yun-Yi's flying skills were terrible, at least she saved her life. Moreover, the damage caused by landing was not serious. After Wang Daoyuan landed, he carefully observed the surroundings. He saw that this was a very deep valley. At the bottom of the valley, there was a stream flowing from north to south. The widest part of the valley was 4 to 5 miles wide, and the narrowest part was only 100 feet wide. He looked at both ends of the valley, but he couldn't see the end. The ground was mostly sand and rocks, and not a single blade of grass grew. On the cliffs on both sides, sparse vegetation could occasionally be seen. The spirit energy was extremely thin, comparable to a place without spirit veins outside the heaven/mountain range. This bit of spirit energy was barely enough for early-stage chi refinement cultivators to cultivate. Cultivators with higher cultivation levels would seriously affect their cultivation speed if they cultivated here. If it was elsewhere, It would not be strange for the spirit energy to be so thin. However, this was the periphery of the heaven/mountain range, which was only 500 kilometers away from the main vein. In the periphery of the heaven/mountain range, even the outermost area, the spirit energy was comparable to that of the spirit spring cave abode. This place was so close to the main vein. Even if there were no spirit veins, the concentration of spirit energy would at least be much higher than that of the spirit spring cave abode. There must be a demon if things were abnormal. The spirit energy here was abnormally thin. There must be a problem. He was seriously injured and had consumed a lot of spirit energy and divine consciousness. He did not dare to move around casually. He released more than 100 soul-chasing bees and found a place to stay nearby. This valley was thousands of feet deep, and there were cliffs on both sides. It was very difficult to climb up, and it was easy to be ambushed by demonic beasts during the process. For safety reasons, it was better to find a place to stay in this valley and recover his spirit energy and divine consciousness. He would wait until Yun-Yi could carry him up. Then he used the Earth Escape Talisman and escaped underground. He did not escape elsewhere. He only hid underground to avoid being discovered by demonic beasts. After half an hour, all the soul-chasing bees returned. Not a single one was missing. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. In such a strange place, there were no demonic beasts that could take down the soul-chasing bees. However, he did not dare to be careless and run around. Instead, he carefully asked these soul-chasing bees if they found a suitable place to stay. There were really a few soul-chasing bees that found cave abodes on both sides of the cliff. These cave abodes were inhabited by demonic beasts, but their ranks were not high. His goal at this time was to recover as soon as possible. He did not have the mind to catch rare demonic beasts, so he found a cave abode that seemed to be the safest. This cave abode was only 3 meters above the ground. There was not even a blade of grass growing near the cave entrance. He used his divine consciousness to explore the cave abode and found that there was a small group of wild boars living in the cave, including a male and a female, 2 large boars, and more than a dozen small wild boars. These wild boars were called fierce blood boars. They were not ordinary demonic beasts that could grow into rank 2 demonic beasts. The fierce blood boars were pitch black and were no different from ordinary wild boars. Their biggest feature was that their blood was extremely vigorous and their physical body was strong, far surpassing demonic beasts of the same rank. An adult fierce blood boar was a rank 2 mid-grade demonic beast. The blood of the fierce blood boar was also an excellent material for rank 2 spirit ink. Of course, it had to be the blood of a rank 2 fierce blood boar. Although the fierce blood boar did not have the bloodline of a high-grade demonic beast, with its powerful physical body, few demonic beasts of the same rank could match it. However, these 2 adult fierce blood boars were only rank 1 mid-grade, perhaps because the spirit energy in this valley was too thin and there were no spiritual items. Chapter 115. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to explore the cave and didn't find any danger. The 2 adult ferocious blood pigs had low cultivation and didn't notice his divine sense power. He used the invisibility technique and breath-holding technique, walked directly into the cave and walked in front of the ferocious blood pigs. The 2 adult ferocious blood pigs were eating fish and didn't notice the danger. He detonated an illusion cloud talisman in the space and used his divine sense to draw the clouds out of the space. The clouds created by the illusion cloud talisman instantly surrounded the group of ferocious blood pigs. The ferocious blood pigs fainted without any vigilance. Wang Daoyuan transferred all the pigs into the space to enrich the spirit beasts in the space. There were a lot of jasper watermelons and many pseudo-spirit fish in the space, enough for this group of ferocious blood pigs to eat. When they became rank 2 demonic beasts, there would be a stable source of rank 2 spirit ink. After cleaning up the ferocious blood pigs, he called out his clone Zhao Baogua to clean the pigsty. After cleaning, he put his clone into the space. In terms of hygiene, this group of ferocious blood pigs was simply unbearable to look at. This cave was dirtier than a mortal's pigsty. If he didn't clean it up, he wouldn't be able to live at all. It had to be said that his clone old Zhao was still good at doing chores. He quickly cleaned the pigsty. Due to the limited conditions, Wang Daoyuan didn't care about it. He took out a futon and a short table from the space. On the short table were jasper watermelons, scarlet blood wine, rejuvenation pills, and a pot of hidden cloud tea. The spirit qi here was thin, and it was too time-consuming to rely on meditation to restore spirit power. There were abundant resources in the space of the spirit bead, so he naturally had to make full use of them. Now, in addition to healing, he also needed medicinal pills to restore spirit power and divine sense, which could be solved by eating and drinking. He sat cross-legged on the futon and began to eat and drink. 3 days later, his spirit power and divine sense were completely restored, and his injuries were almost healed. He could exert at least 80 to 90% of his strength. The next step was to find a way out. Although there was Yun-Yi, he could wait for Yun-Yi to improve her flying ability and fly out. However, time waits for no one. Before the Clear Glass City Square's auction of the Foundation Establishment Elixir, there would definitely be clans and itinerant cultivators who would sell their Tier 2 phase. This was the best time to scour the market. There were also Tier 2 phase in the Oasis region, but they were not commonly seen. Some of them had to risk their lives to obtain them. Before the foundation building elixir was auctioned, one could exchange it for a grade 2 Fey with spirit stones. It would be a huge loss if they missed the opportunity to purchase grade 2 Feys at a low price. Wang Daoyuan had always been prepared for many things. Waiting for Yun-Yi to improve her flying ability was not in line with his habits. This strange canyon was also very attractive to him. From the fierce blood boar, it could be seen that due to the thin spirit qi in this canyon, some of the demonic beasts that had the potential to advance to the second stage were only at the first stage. After bringing these demonic beasts out and nurturing them, they would be able to advance to the second stage. To the Wang clan and himself, rank 2 demonic beasts were extremely valuable. Outside, even the entire Wang clan might not be able to catch a single fierce blood boar, but here, it was effortless. If he could catch a few more types of demonic beasts with potential, he would make a huge profit. After he left the cave, he released the soul-chasing bees to search for the nearby demonic beasts. When he was searching for the cave abodes, he found a few with demonic beasts, but the value of those demonic beasts was very ordinary. The fierce blood boar could be made into Tier 2 spirit ink. It reproduced quickly and could be used for meat. It had strong combat power and a high growth limit. It could be used as a war beast. As for those demonic beasts whose growth limit was not high and had no special uses, such as a high-grade Tier 1 black bear, they were not even worth 100 spirit stones. Other than killing them for meat, they were useless. Killing such demonic beasts was a complete waste of time for Wang Daoyuan. The soul-chasing bees that he released were divided into 2 groups. They went along the canyon and explored in the north and south directions. 2 hours later, both groups of soul-chasing bees returned and reported more than 10 places with demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan discovered that the grade of these demonic beasts had a lot to do with the location. The soul-chasing bees that went north of the canyon found demonic beasts that were high-grade Tier 1. As for the soul-chasing bees that went south, they found demonic beasts that were mid-grade Tier 1. There were even demonic beasts that were low-grade Tier 1. Judging from the fact that the adult fierce blood boar was only mid-grade Tier 1, the grade of the demonic beasts here was mainly limited by the concentration of spirit qi. In other words, going south of the canyon, the concentration of spirit qi gradually decreased. Going north of the canyon, the concentration of spirit qi gradually increased. He personally followed the canyon in the north and south directions and explored a few hundred miles. The result was as he had guessed. The concentration of spirit qi in the canyon decreased from north to south. This place was not far from the main vein of the heaven/mountain range, but the concentration of spirit qi was abnormally low. It was much lower than the outside world where there were no spirit veins. This was definitely not a problem with the direction of the spirit veins. The most reasonable explanation was that there was an unknown object that was absorbing the spirit qi in this place. If there was really something that absorbed spirit qi, then the closer it was to him, the more spirit chi would be absorbed and the lower the concentration of spirit chi would be. The further it was, the less spirit chi would be absorbed and the higher the concentration of spirit chi would be. In other words, the object that absorbed spirit chi should be in the south. This object could absorb spirit chi in a range of a few hundred miles or even more. It was very likely that there was no spirit chi in the vicinity of this place. For human cultivators, demonic beasts, and even all life forms that required spirit chi-deprived lands were extremely dangerous. If one was trapped in a spirit chi-deprived lands and could not replenish their spirit chi for a long time, no matter how high their cultivation was, they would slowly disappear. However, Wang Daoyuan was an exception. He had the spirit pearl space in his hands. He did not know how the spirit pearl's space replenished the spirit chi consumed by spirit objects, but it definitely did not absorb spirit chi directly from his surroundings. The spirit pearl's space required a large amount of spirit chi. If it directly absorbed spirit chi from his surroundings, then there would be a very obvious spirit chi whirlpool around him. In this way, even if he was in a spirit chi-deprived lands, the spirit pearl space would still be able to produce spirit medicine normally. Spirit objects that could create spirit chi-deprived lands were definitely not ordinary spirit objects. They were either rare heavenly treasures or extremely high-grade demonic beasts. He had read some ancient legends. To be able to create such a large spirit chi-deprived lands, it had to be at least a rank 5 demonic beast, which was equivalent to a human cultivator at the Yuanying stage. It was unlikely that there would be such a strong demonic beast in Beiyuan Xiaoxian at present. As long as it was not a demonic beast, spirit chi-deprived lands were the safest place for Wang Daoyuan. It was not a big problem to explore. In the end, he decided to see what had created spirit chi-deprived lands. The spirit chi-deprived lands was so dense that it would not affect the cultivation speed of chi condensation stage 3rd stage cultivators. He followed the canyon south for more than 150 kilometers. The spirit chi-deprived lands was even thinner here. It could only ensure that the cultivation speed of chi condensation stage 1st stage cultivators would not be affected. Here, he also discovered a valuable demonic beast, the golden rock antelope. According to the Myriad Spirit Atlas, the golden rock antelope was a rank 1 upper-grade demonic beast. It belonged to the sheep species and liked to climb rocks. The golden rock antelope was mainly used for meat. Its skin could be used to make defensive dharma artifacts, but the quality was average. Its milk production was not low. Although the quality of its milk was not good, it was still a spirit object. It was very suitable for low-level cultivators to consume. Wang Daoyuan encountered a small herd of golden rock antelopes. One male goat led 5 or 6 ewes and 3 lambs. The leader goat was only a rank 1 upper-grade demonic beast. He easily captured the entire herd and put it into the spirit pearl space. At the same time, he warned Yun-yi not to have any ideas about the herd. Chapter 116. Wang Daoyuan followed the canyon for another 200 miles or so. Here, not a single blade of grass grew, there were no spiritual items, and he couldn't feel a trace of spiritual energy. This was the land of desolation. In the land of desolation, the spiritual energy in his body was constantly flowing away. Even if he tried his best to suppress it, he could only reduce the speed of the loss. Fortunately, the speed of the loss of spiritual energy wasn't too outrageous, and it wouldn't affect him too much for a short period of time. This land of desolation was also in the canyon. It was more than 10 miles long from north to south, and 3 to 4 miles wide from east to west. He carefully searched the entire land of desolation. Other than the lack of spiritual energy, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Wang Daoyuan laughed. This thing that absorbs spiritual energy is quite good at hiding. He wasn't in a hurry. After waiting for a few hours in the land of desolation, everything in the space of the spirit bead was normal. It wasn't affected by the land of desolation. In this way, he could guarantee that there would be no shortage of spiritual energy, so he dared to cause trouble in the land of desolation. He operated his cultivation technique and condensed a pure spiritual energy ball in his hand. He released the spiritual energy ball and used his divine sense to control it so that it wouldn't disperse. The spiritual energy ball was pulled by a force and floated towards the south. Seeing this, he laughed. "Let's see how you can hide now." The spiritual energy ball floated to the middle of the land of desolation, and its floating speed suddenly accelerated. A moment later, the spiritual energy ball hit a rock on the east side of the canyon and disappeared. The connection between the spiritual energy ball and his divine sense was also instantly cut off. This rock was more than 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. It was dark green and didn't have a trace of spiritual energy. Wang Daoyuan couldn't see what was so special about this rock. He used his divine sense to explore the inside of the dark green rock. He didn't expect this rock to block the power of divine sense. His divine sense couldn't penetrate it at all. He used the heaven-peering technique to explore the rock with his divine sense, but the result was the same. The power of divine sense was useless. This rock was completely ignored. He directly took out the profound yang sword and slashed it. His hand was shaken to the point of pain, but the rock was unharmed, not even a trace was left. The sharp metal sword slashed, but there was no movement. Then Wang Daoyuan used all the basic spells of the 5 elements, but the rock was still the same. He took out the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip and whipped the rock 5 times in a row, but not even a stone fragment was left behind. After that, he used the feather blade, soul-extinguishing bell, soul-splitting blade, and other techniques of the golden rock wrestling dragon technique, but they were all useless. He also used the physics principles that he had learned in his previous life, thermal expansion and contraction, to attack first with fire spells, and then with water spells to lower the temperature. If a normal rock were to be manipulated in such a manner, it would crumble very quickly, but this rock did not change at all. Wang Daoyuan was in despair. He sat down on the ground and took out a cup of hidden cloud tea and a jar of red blood wine from the space to restore his spirit energy and divine sense. When he took out the hidden cloud tea, the indestructible rock seemed to fluctuate slightly. This fluctuation was extremely subtle, and Wang Daoyuan's attention was not on the rock. He thought he had sensed wrongly. When he took out the wine jar, the ripples on the rock became obvious. Wang Daoyuan was certain that this was not an illusion. He took out a few spirit grains, a jasper watermelon, a long-eared rabbit, and a yun-yi tiger from the space of the spirit pearl. After comparison, he found that the bigger the things he took out from the space of the spirit pearl, the more obvious the ripples on the rock. The long-eared rabbit and yun-yi tiger wanted to have fun after coming out, but when they found that there was no trace of spirit energy around them, they bounced around him, wanting to return to the space of the spirit pearl. He put the long-eared rabbit and yun-yi back into the space, and the dark green rock fluctuated twice again. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a while and made some inferences about this dark green rock. This rock ignored divine sense and spirit energy attacks, but it reacted when things were taken out of the space of the spirit pearl. Taking out things from the space of the spirit pearl involved the Tao of space. The Tao of space was extremely brilliant, but also extremely common. The storage bag was the lowest level of the Tao of space. He inferred that this rock might be reacting to the Tao of space. In order to confirm his guess, he took out a storage bag and opened it next to the dark green rock. Sure enough, the rock fluctuated slightly. Moreover, the closer the storage bag was to the rock, the greater the fluctuation. There was no doubt that the rock was reacting to the Tao of space. Wang Daoyuan had more than 30 storage bags on him, including the storage bags used to store materials in the space of the spirit pearl and a few spirit beast bags. He took out all the storage bags, placed them in front of the dark green rock, and opened them at the same time. The dark green rock emitted a violent fluctuation, and then a door more than 5 feet tall and 1 foot wide opened. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to enter rashly, so he put in a few soul-chasing bees. After waiting for half an hour, the soul-chasing bees didn't encounter any danger, so he dared to enter the door. As soon as he entered the door, he felt an extremely pure spirit energy. The spirit energy here wasn't very dense, only comparable to the spirit energy near a high-grade rank 1 spirit vein, but it was extremely pure. No matter how dense the spirit energy outside was, It was mixed with many non-spirit energy components, such as dust, air, and so on. But here, there was only spirit energy in the air, and nothing else. Cultivators or spirit beasts could get twice the result with half the effort if they cultivated here, but mortals couldn't survive here at all. After he entered the door, he also brought in the storage bags, and the door closed instantly. His divine sense couldn't detect the situation outside at all. This was a completely sealed secret realm. The so-called secret realm was a small independent world. It was not directly connected to the outside world, but it was inextricably linked. Secret realms could evolve naturally. Spatial treasures like the Spirit Pearl space were refined from natural secret realms. It could also be artificially created. Some high-level cultivators' caves or tombs could be artificially created secret realms. Whether this secret realm evolved naturally or artificially created by high-level cultivators, it was impossible to confirm. After entering the door, there was a narrow cave in front of him, only enough for one person to enter and exit. He let out the soul-chasing bees to lead the way, and walked forward along the cave. After walking for more than a mile, there was light in front. Wang Daoist stood at the entrance of the cave, looking out, and saw a lush green. Outside the cave was a wide space. The ground of the space was covered with grass and low shrubs. Occasionally, there were a few tall trees. Grass and trees were everywhere, but none of them were ordinary plants. All of them were spiritual plants, and they were all ranked, but their ranks weren't high. The highest was only a first-grade spiritual plant. The strangest thing was that many of the spiritual plants were not suitable to live in this environment. For example, the snow country grass in front of him could only grow in places where ice and snow didn't melt all year round, but it could actually grow in this secret realm that wasn't cold. Apart from being a little sickly, there was nothing unusual about it. This secret realm was really unusual. He continued to walk forward, and soon he saw a few spiritual plants. These spiritual plants looked similar to alfalfa, and their flowers were purple gold. They were called purple gold alfalfa, and were excellent pasture. In the Spirit Pearl space, there were long-eared rabbits and golden rock antelopes that ate grass, and the fierce blood boar could also eat grass, so it was good to have a high-quality pasture. He casually transplanted the alfalfa into the Spirit Pearl space, and ordered his clone to take good care of it. After that, he continued to walk forward. This secret realm was very big, and he walked more than 15 miles, but he still couldn't see the end. As he went deeper, the spirit chi became denser, and it was very close to a second-grade spiritual heritage. The spiritual plants around him also increased in rank, and although there were no second-grade spiritual plants, they were no longer sickly and were very energetic. Chapter 117. At this time, some dead plants appeared around Wang Daoist, and they were all of high quality. Many of them were second-rank spiritual plants. As he continued to walk forward, the living plants were still first-rank high quality, but the dead plants were getting higher and higher in quality. Some second-rank high-quality dead plants had already appeared. He also found something wrong. After walking for dozens of miles into the secret realm, he didn't see a single demonic beast or native spiritual insect. Could it be that demonic beasts and spiritual insects couldn't survive in this secret realm? However, he had been here for so long and didn't feel any discomfort. The soul-chasing bees that he released to scout the way also didn't do anything abnormal. He released his divine sense to explore the surroundings, even the underground, but he still didn't find any living things other than plants. The strange environment made his hair stand on end. He took out the sharp gold sword and put the jade pendant on his body, ready to deal with any sudden danger. However, since he was already here, he really didn't want to leave without a big harvest. He braced himself and continued to walk forward. After walking for more than 10 miles, he finally found something related to demonic beasts, the skeleton of a second-rank demonic beast, the iron-horned bull. If it weren't for the iconic big horns that were still shining with a metallic light, he really wouldn't have recognized the skeleton. He carefully walked over and touched the skeleton with the sharp gold sword. The skeleton instantly collapsed, and even the big horns were broken. It might have been dead for too long, and the skeleton had long decayed. It was just that it wasn't affected by the outside world, so it was still in its original state. Once touched, it shattered. The iron-horned bull had been dead for a long time, and it didn't die in a secret place, but it hadn't been touched for a long time. From this phenomenon, it could be inferred that after this iron-horned bull died, there were almost no demonic beasts or spiritual insects in this place. Now, this place could support demonic beasts and spiritual insects, which meant that this place had suffered a great change and then slowly recovered. For a secret realm to recover, it would need a huge amount of spiritual energy, so it could be explained that there was a place with no spiritual energy outside. Of course, this was just speculation, and there was no sufficient evidence. He walked to the side of a withered spiritual tree and gently poked it with his sharp golden sword. The withered spiritual tree instantly turned into a pile of debris. Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, "As expected, it's a spiritual tree that's been dead for a long time. It seems like my guess is quite accurate." After traveling for another 50 or so miles, they encountered many withered spiritual trees and demonic beast skeletons along the way. Similarly, they all shattered upon contact. The concentration of spirit chi here had already reached the level of a low-grade level 2 spirit vein, and the living spirit plants nearby had also appeared to be level 2. In front of him was a bamboo forest. This was a rank 2 mid-grade spirit plant, green jade bamboo. The green jade bamboo was not considered rare in the outside world. It was often used to refine second-tier wood attribute magic tools, and its value was quite high. When he saw the green jade bamboo, he thought of the wood attribute Dharma artifact. Only then did he realize that there was a problem with this arcane realm. The spirit chi here was actually of the wood attribute. Even when he had just entered this secret realm, the spirit chi was still of the wood attribute and had not been converted into spirit chi of other attributes. There should be something in this secret realm that was suppressing the transformation of the 5 elements. It was no wonder that there were no living demonic beasts or spirit insects here. In an environment where the 5 elements were incomplete, it was difficult for demonic beasts and spirit insects to survive. This did not mean that other living creatures would die when they entered, but that the spirit chi here could not support the survival of demonic beasts. When demonic beasts from outside came in, they would not die immediately, but they would also not be able to reproduce here. Demonic beasts and spirit plants were different. Spirit plants only needed would attribute spirit chi to survive and reproduce normally. On the other hand, demonic beasts, and even humans, needed an environment with all 5 elements to be able to reproduce. The 5 elements could be unbalanced. For example, near the earth fire spirit chi was rich, but the spirit chi of other attributes still existed. The imbalance of the 5 elements could be as severe as it wanted, but it must not be lacking. In an environment where there was only would attribute spirit chi, cultivators who cultivated would attribute cultivation techniques or would attribute demonic beasts could still survive, although they could not reproduce. Cultivators and demonic beasts who did not cultivate would attribute spirit chi would not be able to survive for long here. This should be the reason why there were no demonic beasts here despite the lush vegetation. This kind of environment did not affect Wang Daoyuan much. He possessed the 5 elements spiritual roots and had also cultivated the 5 elements cultivation method. As long as the spirit chi's attribute did not exceed the range of the 5 elements, he could use his cultivation technique to refine would attribute spirit chi into would attribute spirit chi, and then convert it into spirit chi of other attributes. The spirit chi in his body was also of the 5 elements. The soul-chasing bee was a non-elemental spirit insect, which meant that it had all 5 elements. It could refine would attribute spirit chi. Although it could not change the attribute of spirit chi at will, it could still survive normally. However, this kind of special environment with spirit chi of a single attribute was especially suitable for cultivation. If a cultivator who majored in would attribute cultivation techniques came here, even if he had multiple spirit roots, his cultivation speed would not be much slower than a celestial spirit root, and the quality of the condensed true essence would be similar. What Wang Daoyuan was more interested in was what suppressed the mutual generation of the 5 elements. If he could use it for cultivation, he would be able to cultivate completely pure spirit qi and condense high-quality true essence, and the difficulty of foundation establishment would be greatly reduced. He could not let go of the green jade bamboo in front of him. This was a rank 2 spirit plant, and its value was extremely high. He planned to dig up a few stalks of green jade bamboo and transplant them into the space of the spirit pearl. However, he underestimated the difficulty of this matter. Bamboo was a spirit plant of the same origin, and the roots of a large bamboo forest were all connected together. To transplant a bamboo stalk, one had to cut off the bamboo whip. How could a rank 2 spirit bamboo's bamboo whip be so easy to cut off? He could only use rank 2 low-grade golden saber talismans to attack the bamboo whip, and 3 golden saber talismans were needed to cut off a bamboo whip. In the end, he only transplanted 1 stalk of green jade bamboo and did not dare to use too many golden saber talismans. After all, he was in a dangerous place and had to leave some rank 2 spirit talismans to save his life. Next, he had to carefully look for something that suppressed the mutual generation of the 5 elements. He had a hunch that this thing was definitely not simple and might be of great use to him. Walking into the bamboo forest, he found that the concentration of spirit qi here was still increasing. The thing he was looking for was very likely to be in the place with the richest spirit qi. After walking in the green jade bamboo forest for half a quarter of an hour, the concentration of spirit qi in the surroundings was comparable to that of a rank 2 mid-grade spirit vein. He ordered the soul-chasing bee to find the place with the richest spirit qi. The soul-chasing bee brought him to a peach tree. This peach tree was only about 3 feet tall and was not conspicuous in the green jade bamboo forest. However, this peach tree was luxuriant, and there were 2 or 3 branches with peach blossoms on the tree crown. The concentration of spirit qi near the peach tree was higher than other places, and it was comparable to that of a rank 2 high-grade spirit vein. Other than that, there was nothing special about this peach tree. It did not even have a trace of spirit qi fluctuation, and it was just like an ordinary peach tree. Using his divine sense to probe, he did not find any clues. He used the sharp golden sword to lightly poke the peach tree. This luxuriant peach tree, full of vitality and even blooming flowers, actually turned into debris like the dead wood he had encountered before. Chapter 118. Wang Daoyuan was a little scared. He seemed to have destroyed the core of this mystic realm. Scanning the surroundings and probing with divine sense, he did not find any changes. Only then did he relax. The core of the mystic realm was related to the stability of the mystic realm. If the core was destroyed, the entire mystic realm would collapse very quickly. Now that there were no signs of this mystic realm collapsing, he also relaxed. This peach tree was definitely not an ordinary item. He originally wanted to transplant it into the space of the spiritual pearl, but did not expect it to shatter with a touch. The mystic realm was very big and was filled with all kinds of spirit plants. There were also many valuable ones. Wouldn't it be a pity if he did not plunder them? He walked out of the bamboo forest and began to search for the spirit medicines needed for foundation establishment. This mystic realm had existed for God knows how many years. No human cultivators had set foot in it, so it might have preserved many rare species. At present, what he needed most was the spirit medicines to refine the foundation establishment pill. No matter how precious the other spirit medicines were, compared to the foundation establishment pill, they were still lacking. If he could find the true essence fruit, it would be a big gain. The 3 main ingredients of the foundation establishment pill, dragon crouching vine and blood jade ginseng, would appear on the market once every 100 years. And the true essence fruit, according to records, had not appeared on the market for more than 2,000 years, not to mention the true essence fruit tree. This mystic realm most likely did not have native demonic beasts, so there was not much danger. He directly released all the soul-chasing bees and ordered them to search for a foundation establishment pill spirit medicine. He himself used the divine walking technique and quickly traveled through the mystic realm. He spread out his divine sense and scanned the spirit plants one by one, finding the valuable ones among them. The effect was really good. A few hours later, he found 7 or 8 kinds of supplementary herbs for the foundation establishment pill. Previously in Green Willow State for more than half a year, he also received several kinds of Foundation Establishment Pill supplementary herbs. Up until now, he already had more than 10 kinds of Foundation Establishment Pill supplementary herbs. He only lacked the dragon tendon grass to protect the meridians, and he could collect all the supplementary herbs. This mystic realm had a radius of several hundred miles, but there was no danger. For 1,000 over soul-chasing bees, it was really not too big. A few hours later, they searched the entire mystic realm but did not find traces of the Foundation Establishment Pill's main ingredient. Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, "Looks like it's not so easy to reach Foundation Establishment." Just as he was about to look for other valuable spirit herbs, a violent fluctuation of spirit chi came from the green jade bamboo forest. Then, a beam of green light shot up into the sky, as if a heavenly treasure had been born. Wang Daoyuan recalled the soul-chasing wasp and used the swift art to rush towards the bamboo forest. Only when he got closer did he realize that the spiritual chi fluctuations were coming from the pile of peach tree fragments. At this moment, the pile of peachwood fragments was burning fiercely. This flame wasn't an ordinary yellow or red flame, but a jade-green color. As the flames burned fiercely, a wave of fresh air blew against his face. Under the nourishment of this fresh aura, the spirit chi of the surrounding green jade bamboos became stronger and stronger, far surpassing that of their counterparts in the distance. Some bamboos even directly evolved. This fresh aura could actually allow spirit plants to advance. How could he let go of such a good thing? He immediately walked forward, wanting to take the peachwood fragments and the dark green flame into the space of the spirit pearl. However, these fragments and flames simply couldn't be moved by divine sense. When divine sense probed over, the fragments and flames were completely unmoved. He could only watch helplessly as the fragments slowly burned and the flames gradually extinguished. It made his heart ache so much that he shed tears. There was such a heavenly treasure that no one was fighting for, yet he couldn't take it for his own use. This was the greatest pain in the world. Half an hour later, the peach tree fragments were all burned clean, leaving only a pile of ashes. Just as Wang Daoyuan was lamenting, a trace of spirit chi fluctuation was emitted from the ashes, and there was even a fresh aura that could allow spirit plants to advance. He pounced forward and used his hands to push aside the ashes. Under the ashes was a peach tree sapling that was 3 to 4 inches tall, emitting extremely weak spirit chi fluctuations. The top bud of this peach tree sapling was also emitting a trace of fresh aura. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to probe over and saw that there was actually an extremely fine flame burning in the top bud. Although the flame in the top bud was extremely fine, it was exactly the same as the green flame that burned the peach tree fragments and caused the surrounding green jade bamboos to advance. He was extremely excited. This is a true heavenly treasure. If I can transplant this peach tree sapling into the space of the spirit pearl, I'll have struck it big. At this time, the ground of the secret realm trembled slightly, and there was a trend of it becoming stronger and stronger. Before he could react to what was going on, he saw a crack appear in the distant sky. There were no sun, moon, or stars in the sky of the secret realm. Everywhere was gray and hazy. At this time, a pitch-black crack appeared in the distance. The crack was constantly expanding, and things were constantly falling. The ground also began to crack, and huge cracks appeared, spreading towards the bamboo forest. This was clearly the secret realm about to collapse. Previously, when the peach tree turned into fragments, the secret realm didn't move. He originally thought that the peach tree wasn't the secret realm's core, but he didn't expect it to be true. He originally wanted to transplant this peach tree sapling into the space of the spirit pearl, and then plunder some valuable spirit plants, but now it seemed impossible. He dug out the peach tree sapling along with its roots and put it into the space of the spirit pearl. After transplanting the peach tree sapling, the speed of the secret realm's collapse suddenly became much faster. The cracks in the sky and ground spread rapidly, and the secret realm could completely collapse at any time. He didn't dawdle and directly used his trump card, a middle-grade level 2 divine travel talisman. Then, he drove the wind-stepping boots on his feet with all his might, sprinting towards the door he came from. In less than 15 minutes, he arrived in front of that greenish-black rock. He immediately took out all his storage bags and opened them in front of the rock. The door appeared again. At this time, the cave also began to collapse. He passed through the door and put away his storage bags. After the door closed, the entire cliff started to shake, and huge rocks kept rolling down the cliff. Wang Daoyuan didn't stop and immediately ran along the canyon towards the south. Soon, he ran more than 200 miles away. The collapse of the secret realm caused such a huge commotion in the outside world. Once the shaking stopped, there would be high-level demon beasts coming to investigate very quickly. If he continued to stay here, he would be waiting for high-level demon beasts to kill him. In addition, he felt that this place of death was starting to have weak spirit qi. This was also very normal. There was no spirit qi previously, which was the result of the secret realm absorbing spirit qi from the outside world. Now that the secret realm had collapsed, the level of spirit qi in the entire canyon would return to normal. At that time, there would be a large number of level 2 and even level 3 demon beasts coming to fight for territory. If he didn't leave quickly, when the demon beasts entered the canyon en masse and prepared to fight for territory, a human cultivator would wander around here. At that time, he would be facing hundreds of level 2 demon beasts alone. He didn't have time to wait for Yun Yi to carry him out. He found a cliff that wasn't particularly dangerous and prepared to climb up. He didn't dare to climb the cliff before because he was afraid that there would be a sneak attack by flying demon beasts midway. He wouldn't even be able to find a place to escape. Now that he was in a place of death and the cliff was shaking violently, no demon beasts would dare to come over in a short time. He released a few soul-chasing bees and went to the top of the cliff to see if there were any level 2 demon beasts nearby. He didn't want to directly fall into the mouth of a demon beast after climbing up. Not long after, the soul-chasing bees returned and didn't find any level 2 demon beasts nearby. They were probably scared away by the violent shaking of the cliff. He didn't dare to dawdle anymore. Holding the sharp golden sword in his hand, he stabbed it into the stone wall as a point of strength and climbed up the cliff. This place was already far away from the center of the shaking. The cliff didn't shake too violently, and not many stones rolled down. The cliff was still stable. There were also no demon beasts attacking. A height of 10,000 feet was not difficult for cultivators. In less than a quarter of an hour, he successfully climbed up the cliff. Chapter 119. In order to avoid being targeted by the black cloud wolf again, Wang Daoyuan changed all his clothes and shoes and washed his body with a water attribute spell. Although the nearby monsters were scared away by the shaking of the cliff, he still didn't dare to let his guard down. He released dozens of soul-chasing bees to scout ahead. He first went west, leaving the unknown area, and entered the area that the cultivators of Green Willow Province had explored. After that, he didn't dare to go west directly back to Green Willow Province for fear of encountering the Black Cloud Wolf again. Instead, he turned southwest and planned to return from Beiyuan Lake. The collapse of the secret realm and the shaking of the cliff could be felt thousands of miles away. The monsters didn't know what was going on. They either ran away to hide or lay in their nests, not daring to run around. With the soul-chasing bees leading the way, he didn't encounter many monsters along the way. His journey was very smooth. There were no pursuers behind him. If he encountered a monster, he just had to go around it and the monster wouldn't take the initiative to attack. The journey back from the secret realm was more than 1,000 miles long, but there weren't many twists and turns. It only took 2 days to reach the south of Beiyuan Lake and return to Green Willow Province by boat. Although he narrowly escaped death, it didn't take much time. It was less than 10 days from departure to return. After returning to the shop, he used his divine sense to enter the space of the spiritual pearl to take a good look at the harvest of this trip. The purple gold alfalfa was growing very well. This thing was too attractive to herbivorous spirit beasts. The long-eared rabbit and golden rock antelope always wanted to eat it. In order to be able to grow a large amount in the future, the clone Old Zhao protected the purple gold alfalfa very well. The long-eared rabbit and golden rock antelope's staple food was still spirit grain straw. Yun-Yi finally had a playmate of equal strength. When she had nothing to do, she would provoke the fierce blood boar. However, she was often chased by 2 adult fierce blood boars. Thanks to its flying ability, it was never injured. The fierce blood boars liked the environment of the space very much. Not to mention the abundant spirit chi, there was also a large number of jade watermelons for them to eat. If it wasn't for Yun-Yi's harassment, it would be perfect. The jade bamboo was also alive and had begun to grow. It wouldn't be long before new bamboo shoots would grow. The peach sapling was planted next to the hidden cloud tea tree. Nearly 2 months had passed in the space, but there was no obvious change in the peach sapling. The only difference was that the fluctuation of spiritual energy had become stronger. On the other hand, the hidden cloud tea beside him had changed a lot. It was originally half dead, but now there was some vitality. The leaves were all stretched out, and there was some luster on the leaves. Wang Daoyuan had gone through fire and water this time. Although he had escaped unscathed, he was still very tired. He didn't open for business immediately. Instead, he rested for a few days. 5 days after returning to the oasis, Gao Yuan came knocking again. Wang Daoyuan closed the shop's defensive array formation and welcomed Gao Yuan into the shop. Gao Yuan was a little surprised to see Wang Daoyuan brimming with energy and vigor. However, he still pretended to be relieved and said, "Fortunately, little friend Zhao is safe and sound. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to explain to your grandfather." Wang Daoyuan also pretended to be confused and asked, "Senior Gao, what happened?" Gao Yuan was a little surprised. Could it be that little friend Zhao doesn't know? After you left the oasis that day, the group of black cloud wolves went crazy. They ran around the mountain forest east of the 100 River Lake, as if they were chasing someone. It was so noisy that the surrounding hundreds of miles were not peaceful. Coincidentally, little friend Zhao also entered the mountain a few days ago. I heard that a few days ago, there was a disturbance a few hundred miles east of the 100 River Lake. Second-rank monster beasts were running around and many cultivators who entered the mountain were killed. I was worried that little friend Zhao was in danger, so I came to visit. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little disdainful. Who was he trying to fool? Didn't he just come to see if this father was dead? He said it as if he cared about this father a lot. Of course, he couldn't say this out loud. He still had to work in the oasis in the future. Although Gao Yuan was a lazy dog, behind him was the higher-ups of the oasis. Before beating a dog, one had to look at the master. He politely replied, "I really don't know. I did go to the Poison Dragon Valley that day, but I encountered a second-rank poisonous snake when I entered. I was forced to escape the Poison Dragon Valley and didn't dare to go in again. Later, I went around the Poison Dragon Valley and went south to look for valuable spiritual objects. Maybe I ran too far, but I didn't see the black cloud wolves and didn't feel any disturbances. But a few days ago, some second-rank monster beasts suddenly ran around. I had to find a place to hide for 2 days. After the storm passed, I dared to come back." Gao Yuan's face revealed a pondering expression. After a long while, he responded, "Since little friend Zhao is safe and sound, I am relieved. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first." Wang Daoyuan sent him to the door and politely said, "Senior Gao, if you find something good, don't forget this junior." Gao Yuan responded and hurriedly left. During this trip, Wang Daoyuan obtained the Dragon Crouching Vine and most of the Foundation Establishment Pill's supplementary ingredients. The remaining supplementary ingredient, Dragon Tendon Grass, was not particularly rare. He should be able to buy it. Although the True Essence Fruit and Blood Jade Ginseng were hard to find, they were not irreplaceable. There was still some hope of finding the Blood Jade Ginseng, but he did not dare to hope for the True Essence Fruit. However, the Blood Jade Ginseng and True Essence Fruit were not irreplaceable. The True Essence Fruit could be replaced by a monster beast's inner core. The Blood Jade Ginseng could be replaced by a second-rank high-grade monster beast's blood essence. Although the monster beast's inner core was not easy to find, there was still hope in Linhai State. As long as he was willing to spend spirit stones, he might be able to buy enough Monster Beast's blood essence and Monster Beast's blood essence. If he gathered the materials, there was still hope to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill. But if he used the Monster Beast's inner core to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill, the cost would be more than double. However, with the Spirit Pearl space, it was not unbearable. To refine the Foundation Establishment Pill, to guarantee a 30% success rate, one needed at least a second-rank pill master. The limit that a Qi refinement cultivator could reach was a second-rank pill master. Using the Monster Beast's inner core to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill increased the difficulty by a lot, and the requirements for the pill master's level were also higher. He also had to start cultivating the Tao of pill refinement. After all, refining the Foundation Establishment Pill could not be done by others. His family did not have a second-rank pill master, and seventh uncle Wang Shouhong's talent in the Tao of pill refinement could not be considered brilliant. Without breaking through the Foundation Establishment realm, it was unlikely that he could become a second-rank pill master. If he looked for an outsider to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill, the possibility of being cheated was too high. With the experience of Liang Zixing's pill refinement, Wang Daoyuan did not have to learn from scratch, which could save a lot of time. He used the soul-splitting blade to create a new subsoul to replace Liang Zixing's subsoul. After the nurtured subsoul merged with the main soul, his spiritual sense cultivation increased by 5%. Under the Violet Palace realm, it was extremely difficult to increase one's spiritual sense. Apart from encountering heaven and earth treasures, one could only rely on slowly increasing one's spiritual sense. If there was no effect of a breakthrough in cultivation, it would take several years to increase one's spiritual sense by 10%. And he cultivated the doppelganger soul nurturing technique, so he only needed to merge with a subsoul to increase his spiritual sense by 5%. If he had more clones, it would not take more than a few years for his spiritual sense power to double. After merging with the subsoul, he spent a few days sorting out the subsoul's memories, mainly digesting and absorbing the experience in pill refinement. 10 days later, he officially started pill refinement, starting with the simplest fasting pill. Chapter 120. The fasting pill was the simplest and cheapest pill among all the pills. The raw materials were only spirit grains, and one only needed to extract the essence of the spirit grains and condense it into a pill. Although the fasting pill was simple, the refining process also included most of the techniques of alchemy. This included controlling the fire, extracting the essence of spirit herbs, condensing the pill, etc. The only thing missing was how to fuse the essences of different herbs together. This was also the most difficult part of alchemy. It consumed a lot of spiritual sense, and if it was not handled well, the furnace would explode. Because there was no such difficult part, the raw materials were also cheap. Therefore, most beginner alchemists would start by refining the fasting pill. After familiarizing themselves with the steps of controlling the fire, they would try to refine other pills. With the alchemy experience provided by his clone, Wang Daoyuan saved a lot of time. At least he did not need to learn the basics. The medicinal properties of spirit herbs, the control of the fire during alchemy, and other key points, he knew them by heart. What he lacked was the actual operation. Once he was familiar with it, his alchemy level would advance by leaps and bounds. There was still a gap between knowing the theory and actual operation. After all, the strength of the clone and the main body was quite different, and the clone's experience could not be completely copied. He did not understand this at first, and the first time he tried, he completely copied the clone's experience. When extracting the essence of the spirit grains, he used 30% of his spiritual sense to stimulate the flames, and the spirit grains were directly burned to ashes. At this time, he understood that he could not completely copy the clone's experience. Adjusting the output of his spiritual sense, he slowly tried, and on the fourth try, he successfully refined 2 fasting pills. The success rate was only 20%, but it was considered a beginner. With the clone's experience and his own experience, his alchemy level advanced by leaps and bounds. In just 3 days, he increased the success rate of the fasting pill to 60%. The fasting pill could only be regarded as a non-mainstream pill, and those who could refine the fasting pill could not be called alchemists. After that, he began to try to refine the spirit-returning pill. The spirit-returning pill was the simplest of the Tier 1 pills. The pill formula only had 3 spirit herbs, and the difficulty of fusing the essences of different spirit herbs was the lowest. He already knew all the techniques to refine the spirit-returning pill, and besides fusing the essences of spirit herbs, he also knew the alchemy process by heart. There was no need to prepare at all, and he could start directly. The difficulty of fusing spirit herb essences was indeed very high. Even if Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense was powerful, he still blew up the furnace twice. However, the pill furnace he used was the Fire Phoenix Purple Sun Furnace, a low-grade second-grade pill furnace, and the materials he used were mid-grade second-grade Purple Sun Copper. When refining a Tier 1 pill, even if it exploded, it would not damage the Tier 2 pill furnace. However, he improved very quickly and only failed 5 times. On his 6th attempt, he successfully refined 3 spirit recovery pills. 5 days later, the success rate of refining the spirit recovery pill had reached 50%. At this point, he could be considered to have officially become a first-tier low-rank alchemist, and his ability to fuse spirit herb essences had reached a certain level. In the next month or so, he had refined many kinds of level 1 pills, and his success rate had exceeded 40%. Elixirs were classified according to the difficulty of refining and the grade of the elixirs used. The Spirit Gathering pill was one of the simplest Tier 1 high-rank pills. As long as one's success rate in refining the Spirit Gathering pill was higher than 40%, one would be considered a Tier 1 high-rank alchemist. However, he did not continue to refine the Essence Gathering pill. There were only about 2 months until the auction of the Foundation Establishment pill. It was time to return to the clear glass market to plunder spirit herbs at a low price. In this half a year in the oasis, he had earned more than 20,000 spirit stones. This did not include the large amount of spirit herbs he had collected, as well as the remaining spirit herbs and spirit talismans. If the spirit herbs he had plundered were converted to market value, he estimated that his net profit would be more than 40,000 spirit stones. With the spirit pearl space providing materials, refining spirit herbs was simply a business without cost. After Wang Daoyuan packed up, he left the oasis. After leaving the 100 Rivers Lake by boat, he used the cloud mist escape on the water and soon arrived near the Mirror Iron Mountain. He did not go to the Mirror Iron Mountain, but went directly to the Spirit Spring Cave. Standing in front of the cave, he used his divine sense to explore, but he did not find anything. The cave should have activated a concealment array. Perhaps the defensive array was also activated, so he did not dare to rashly use an escape technique to enter. After all, the Spirit Spring Cave had a Tier 2 high-rank array, and he could not withstand it. He had refined Qi Yun into a clone and learned from Qi Yun's memories how to control the array without using the Spirit Spring Bead. Although he did not cultivate the Tao of array and could not control the entire cave's array, he still had the ability to open the door. He used his divine sense and spirit chi to explore the door, gathered them in several array patterns, and then activated them at the same time. The door instantly opened. The location of the power gathering could not be the slightest bit off, and the divine sense and spirit chi at each location could not be wrong. They had to be activated at the same time. Without knowing how to open the door and without the Spirit Spring Bead, it was impossible to open the door by accident. When the door of the Spirit Spring Cave opened, a 15-meter-long water dragon flew over. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the cloud mist escape to dodge and shouted, "12th uncle, don't attack. It's me, it's me." This water dragon technique was used by the 12th uncle, Wang Shui. "So it was you. You opened the Spirit Spring Cave?" Wang Shui asked doubtfully, "The Spirit Spring Bead is in my hands. How did you open the door?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Besides using the Spirit Spring Bead, there is another way to open it, but it requires some understanding of arrays." Wang Shui immediately lost interest and said, "You still want to study arrays? Forget it, I'll study how to make wine." Wang Daoyuan walked into the cave and saw that the cave had changed quite a bit. The spirit mulberry and the purple goldgrass had grown quite well, but the spirit forbidding silkworm had not broken out of its cocoon. The cave had opened up 5 acres of spirit fields and planted all kinds of spirit herbs that the clan owned. However, each spirit herb only took up a few square feet of the spirit fields. This was completely to leave a backup plan. There were also a few jasper watermelons planted in the spirit fields. These spirit fields were also watered by the jade butterfly spring, so there was no need to worry about the consumption of the soil. There was also a stone room built next to the thatched cottage. He walked over and smelled the smell of wine. It was very similar to the scarlet blood wine, but there were some differences. Wang Daoyuan asked, "12th uncle, what's going on with this wine?" The scarlet blood wine smell is mixed with the fragrance of the jade butterfly orchid. In addition, there is also the smell of blood worry. Blood worry was a commonly used healing pill. Its main function was to stop bleeding, but it also had some effect of healing injuries. Wang Shui smiled and said, "You are indeed my nephew. You can even smell this." The scarlet blood wine's main function is to restore spirit qi. Although it has some effect on healing injuries, it is not as good as the rejuvenation pill. I added the blood worry to it to increase the healing effect. There is also the jade butterfly orchid. Your 7th uncle has researched the medicinal properties of this thing. If you take it directly or refine it into a pill, it can also increase your divine sense cultivation and restore the power of your divine sense. He is still researching the jade butterfly orchid's pill recipe. I also added a little bit when improving the wine recipe. I want the new scarlet blood wine to have the effect of healing and divine sense. Right now I am just experimenting. When I succeed, I will give you the new wine recipe. Chapter 121. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Then I'll wait for your good news." Then he took out 2 jugs of newly brewed red blood wine and 2 beggar's chickens wrapped in lotus leaves. The lotus leaves came from those plants that never bloomed. Wang Daoyuan no longer spoiled them and often plucked a few lotus leaves to make beggar's chicken. Seeing that there was wine and meat, Wang Shui immediately became interested. He grabbed a chicken, tore off a drumstick, took a bite and said, "It's really a rare delicacy in the world." Then he grabbed a jug of wine and drank a big mouthful. He said intoxicatedly, "If I had such good wine and delicacies every day, I wouldn't exchange it for a golden core. You really know how to enjoy yourself. Not only can you drink, but you're also good at cooking delicacies." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "This chicken is called Jade Bone Phoenix Tail Pheasant, a first-rank middle-grade spiritual bird. I still have a few living ones so the family can raise them. In the future, 12th uncle, it's not impossible for you to eat chicken and drink wine every day." Wang Shui was overjoyed. "Really? Why don't we raise a few in the spirit spring cave?" Wang Daoyuan glanced at him and said, "You don't want the forbidden spirit silkworm? Do you want to smell chicken poop and brew wine all day? Then forget it. The forbidden spirit silkworm and the spiritual wine are more important." Wang Shui said regretfully. Wang Daoyuan came to the spirit spring cave to see the situation and didn't have any business. After eating and drinking with the 12th uncle and Wang Shui, he left. After leaving the spirit spring cave, he used the cloud escape to enter Qingxi village and went ashore. There were still 2 months before the auction of the foundation establishment pill, so there was plenty of time. Since he was passing by and had nothing to do, he naturally had to go home to see his parents. He also wanted to collect a few common seasonings, such as pepper, onion, ginger, and garlic, and plant them in the space of the spiritual pearl to cultivate non-ranked spiritual plants. With enough seasonings, he could recreate the delicacies of his previous life. As soon as he went ashore, he heard wolf howls coming from Qingxi village. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the sky-peering technique and looked into the village. He saw Dahe and a dozen black cloud wolves besieging a cultivator. This cultivator looked to be in his 60s or 70s. He was at the 7th level of Qi refinement and wore the green Daoist robe of the Liang family. Dahe had improved a lot in the past year, but it was only equivalent to a cultivator at the 2nd level of Qi disciple. 10 black cloud wolves were only equivalent to a cultivator at the first level of Qi disciple. If it weren't for the fact that they had the advantage in numbers, they would have been defeated long ago. Dahe and the black cloud wolf both had many wounds on their bodies. This Liang clan cultivator is also a piece of trash. If it were me, I would be able to kill a few tier 1 low-grade spirit beasts in one move. Wang Daoist took out an image recording pearl, activated it with his divine sense, and threw it on a tree. The image recording orb was a special type of Dharma artifact. Normally, its grade was not high. Once it was activated, it could record the current scene. Then he used invisibility and breath concealment and slowly approached. When he was more than 10 feet away from the Liang clan cultivator, he directly used cloud mist escape and appeared in front of the Liang clan cultivator. He kicked him to the ground. Then, he took out the black yang sword and pressed it against the Liang clan cultivator's neck, asking, "May I ask why Dao Yu of the Liang clan trespassed into my Wang clan's territory? And even injured the spirit beasts of my Wang clan?" In the cultivation world, hitting someone else's spirit beast was equivalent to hitting someone else's clan. Of course, if the spirit beast did evil, the clan also had to bear the responsibility. But hitting someone else's spirit beast in their territory could be seen as declaring war on the clan. Of course, the Liang clan cultivator would not admit it. Even if the Liang clan was powerful, they still had to abide by the rules of the Netherworld sect. Attacking other clans for no reason did not cause serious consequences. With Liang Liang's protection, the Liang clan would not suffer too much. However, he would definitely be severely punished. It was also possible that he would be killed directly. He quibbled, "This is clearly a demonic beast that was harassing the village. I helped drive it away." Wang Daoist called Dahe. Dahe immediately shook its head and wagged its tail as it walked over, rubbing its head against his leg. He sneered, "Do you still have anything to say now? Not to mention that this is not a demonic beast. Even if it is, does my Wang clan need your Liang clan to worry about my matters?" According to the rules of the Netherworld sect, the subordinate clans of the Netherworld sect have the right to not allow cultivators from other clans to enter their territory. My Wang clan has also announced that Liang clan cultivators are not allowed to enter my Wang clan's territory. I remember that this rule was proposed by your Liang clan's ancestor, right? What, is the Liang clan knowingly breaking the rules? Or does the Liang clan not need to abide by the rules of the Netherworld sect? Back then, in order to suppress the Wang, Yang, and Meng clans, the Liang clan proposed this rule and obtained the approval of the higher-ups of the Netherworld sect. The Liang clan also followed this rule and did not allow the Yang clan to use Qingshi's wharf. In these 300 years, the Yang clan was disgusted. The Liang clan cultivator knew that he was in the wrong and could not win, so he admitted defeat. "I was blind and mistook the Wang clan's spirit beast for a demonic beast. I am willing to compensate for the Wang clan's losses. Please be magnanimous, Dao Yu." Wang Daoist thought to himself, "Qingxi village is too close to Mirror Iron Mountain. If this matter is blown up, it will easily attract the Liang clan's attention to Mirror Iron Mountain. The matter of the clan's transaction with Green Willow Province will be easily exposed. If I directly capture this person and refine him into a doppelganger, it will be difficult to guarantee that this matter will not be exposed in broad daylight. If the Liang clan comes to ask for him, then there will be great trouble. It is better to reduce the impact." Thus, he replied, "Fellow Daoist, it's pardonable that you were mistaken. However, since you attacked, my Wang clan spirit beast will not be beaten for nothing. Dao, leave behind your storage pouch and magic tools, and I can pretend that this did not happen." The Liang clan cultivator felt a wave of heartache. Although the items on him were not all of his wealth, giving them all away would still be a great loss. However, it was useless to feel heartache. He was attacking the Wang clan's spirit beasts in their territory. If the Wang clan did not let him go, he would definitely die. The Liang clan would definitely not pay such a huge price to protect a 7th-stage Qi refinement cultivator with no future. He gritted his teeth and threw out his storage pouch and magic longsword. Then he stood up and left dejectedly. Wang Daoist opened the storage pouch and took a look. He directly stored it in the space of his spiritual pearl along with the longsword. He really did not care for this trash. The longsword was only a mid-grade level 1 magic tool. There were only a few hundred spirit stones, a few talismans, and some pills in the storage pouch. At this moment, Dahe was still rubbing its head against his leg. He pointed at the dozen or so black cloud wolves and asked, "Dahe, are these your subordinates?" Dahe nodded proudly. Wang Daoist cursed inwardly, "Beasts." The dozen or so black cloud wolves were all female wolves. They had only become demon beasts for less than a year, and they already had a harem. On second thought, this wasn't a big deal. Dahe had worked hard to look after the village for more than 20 years. Why couldn't it enjoy itself? This was also good. When Dahe strengthened the wolf pack, it could better stop the Liang clan from causing trouble and protect the safety of Qingxi village. As long as Dahe's strength could suppress the wolf pack, its position as the wolf king would be very stable. It would also not be afraid of the wolf pack's retaliation. He had the space of his spiritual pearl. If he cultivated Dahe with all his strength, would there be any other wolf whose cultivation level surpassed his? Dahe ran into its kennel and took out an empty storage pouch. It looked at Wang Daoist pitifully. Wang Daoist did not know whether to laugh or cry. It knew how to pretend to be pitiful and ask for benefits. Chapter 122. Wang Daoist took out 200 spirit-feeding pills and put them into Dahe's empty storage bag. This was what he refined when he was practicing alchemy in the Green Willow continent. Spirit-feeding pills were specially used to raise spirit beasts and were more suitable for Dahe than spirit-gathering pills. The spirit beasts in the space of the spiritual pearl had green watermelons and spirit grains to eat, so they didn't need spirit-feeding pills. After Dahe got the benefits, it turned back to its kennel and dug a hole to bury the storage bag. Then it took its harem out of the village. Wang Daoist put away the image recording pearl and walked home. An immortal from another family came to the village and even fought with the wolves. The villagers were so scared that they hid at home and didn't dare to come out. After he drove away the cultivators of the Liang family, the villagers dared to walk out of their houses. Wang Fu also opened the door and welcomed his son in. As soon as he entered the inner courtyard, Mrs. Wang Yang asked worriedly, "Erwa, were you hurt when you fought with the foreign immortal?" Wang Daoist comforted her, "Mother, I'm fine. That's someone from the Liang family who doesn't get along with our Wang family. He beat Dahe in our Wang family's territory, which is against the rules. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so I asked him to leave all the good things on him and let him go. Although he's old, he's very weak. He was subdued by me in one move and didn't have a chance to fight back. I'm fine." Mrs. Wang Yang asked again, "How is Sanhua doing in the clan? Can he eat his fill?" Wang Daoist said with a smile, "Mother, don't worry. He's now learning from the Grand Duke in the clan. I left him a few hundred kilograms of spirit grains, and the clan also has spirit grains. It's enough for him to eat." Mrs. Wang Yang was relieved and took her daughter-in-law and grandson into the kitchen. Wang Fu took his two sons into the main room. After entering the main room, Wang Daoist asked, "Father, what's going on with Dahe? When did it become the Wolf King?" Wang Fu praised, "Speaking of which, Dahe is the savior of our village. Half a year ago, a pack of wolves ran to our village. When I saw the wolves coming, I quickly used the thing that the immortal in the clan gave me to call for help. Your elder brother led the young men in the village to stop the wolves. But I didn't expect this pack of wolves to be so powerful. They injured quite a few people as soon as they met. Your elder brother was almost injured, and 2 villagers were bitten to death by the wolves. I reckon that before the immortals arrive, everyone in our village will be eaten by the wolves." Fortunately, Dahe was there. It rushed directly to the Wolf King. The other wolves were frightened and did not dare to get involved. In the end, Dahe bit the Wolf King to death. The other wolves were afraid of Dahe and didn't dare to fight with it. Some of them ran away, and the remaining 10 or so wolves recognized Dahe as their king. The wolves have been staying nearby. With Dahe taking care of them, they don't bite people in our village. Since Dahe became the Wolf King, no wild beasts dared to come near them. The immortals in the clan saw that the wolves didn't hurt people, so they let them stay nearby. Wang Daoyuan ate a meal at home, leaving behind a few hundred kilograms of spirit grains and 2 stalks of wild ginseng. Then he left the house and went to his own vegetable field to look for seasonings. Onion, ginger, garlic, pepper, and other common seasonings were gathered without leaving the village. In addition to the chili he found earlier, the seasonings in his hands were enough to make most of the delicacies. Since he had already visited his parents, the next step was to return to Qingli City and search for spiritual items at a low price. Before leaving, he set up a stone tablet at the entrance of the village. It said, "This is the Black Cloud Wolf Pack, the spirit beasts raised by my Wang family. Anyone who attacks without permission will be investigated to the end." This stone tablet was the same as the warning signs in his previous life. It didn't have much practical use. But once something happened, it would be very useful when someone was held responsible. In order to prevent someone from destroying the stone tablet after attacking the wolf pack, he also used an image recording pearl to record the process of setting up the stone tablet. Wang Daoyuan was in a hurry to search for spiritual items, so he didn't wait for the family's spirit ship. He directly jumped into the clear stream, used the cloud escape, and rushed to Qingli City. There were no second-rank demonic beasts downstream of the clear stream. He used the cloud escape, and the first-rank aquatic demonic beasts couldn't catch up with him at all. There were no surprises or dangers along the way, and he smoothly arrived at Qingli City. He didn't return to his store, but went shopping directly. The last time he came back to buy a talisman pen, Qingli City was not much different from when he left. After a few months, the streets were clearly more lively. The carpets and stalls were about to block the doors of the stores. Although there were many stalls, no one was selling second-rank spiritual items. These factions were really able to keep their composure. Wang Daoyuan stayed in Qingli City for more than half a year. There were many good things in the Spirit Pearl space. He really didn't care for ordinary first-rank spiritual items. Some old and cunning rogue cultivators knew that many people had the intention of scamming, so they took out some rare trash items and sold them as treasures. They really deceived many people. These methods were child's play to him. After fighting a battle of wits and courage with the brokers in Qingli City for more than half a year, those brokers were the best of the best. Compared to these rogue cultivators who wanted to deceive people, they were much better. After seeing so many brilliant scams, these little tricks were difficult to look at. After shopping for half a day, he still didn't see anything that caught his eye. Just as he was preparing to return to his store, a stall owner called out to him, "This Wang family's Dao, I have many good things here. Why don't you come and take a look?" This stall owner looked to be in his 50s. He had a smile on his face and looked rather honest. Wang Daoyuan didn't have any urgent matters either, so he might as well see what good things he had. On this stall owner's stall, the things displayed were very miscellaneous: first-rank spirit herbs and seeds, demonic beast scales, bones, teeth, etc., and some ores. However, there wasn't a single thing that was worth more than 10 spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan pointed at the stall and said contemptuously, "Just these?" The stall owner smiled and said, "Of course not. Who would put good things out in the open?" Finished talking, he took out more than 10 high-grade first-rank spirit talismans from his storage bag. As a second-rank spirit talisman master, Wang Daoyuan could tell at a glance that these spirit talismans were not of a low standard. The person who refined them could be considered one of the best among the first-rank spirit talisman masters. The stall owner said, "These are spirit talismans that I refined. They're definitely cheaper than those sold in the store. I wonder if Dao Yu is interested in them?" Wang Daoyuan didn't reply and extended his right hand with the back of his hand facing the stall owner. The stall owner smiled embarrassedly. "I didn't expect Dao Yu to be of the same trade. I was rude." Spirit talisman masters use talisman brushes all year round. When they held the brush, the first knuckle of their ring finger would hold the shaft of the brush. After a long time, a piece of flesh would protrude from the knuckle and there would be a layer of calluses on the surface. As spirit talisman masters, they could tell at a glance if they were of the same trade. The stall owner put away the spirit talisman and took out an egg from his storage bag, smiling. Dao Yu, this is the egg of a second-rank eagle-type demon bird. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering technique and used his spirit consciousness to peer into the egg. Ordinary demon beast eggshells had the effect of blocking spirit consciousness. Using spirit consciousness to peer into the egg directly, one could only tell if the egg was alive or dead. However, the heaven-peering technique had a very good penetrating effect on things that blocked spirit consciousness and could barely see the situation inside the egg. He saw that the chick inside the egg had already taken shape and would break out of the shell before long. The chick's beak was very long and there was a hook at the end. It was clearly an eagle-type demon bird. Coincidentally, after he obtained the golden rock wrestling dragon technique, he wanted to catch an eagle and use the phantom of the golden rock to simulate the eagle's melee moves. That was when he came across an eagle egg. Furthermore, the spirit energy fluctuations emitted by this eagle egg were quite strong, comparable to that of a level 3 Qi refinement human cultivator. If it had such cultivation before hatching, it would be at least a second-rank demon bird when it matured. Chapter 123. This eagle egg was genuine, and the stall owner knew its value, so it was impossible to pick it up. Wang Daoyuan didn't beat around the bush and said directly, "Give me a reasonable price?" The stall owner didn't speak and stretched out 3 fingers, indicating that he wanted 3,000 spirit stones. The price of a rank 2 monster's egg or cub fluctuated greatly, ranging from 1,000 to 5,000 spirit stones, and some of the more valuable species were priced at more than 10,000 spirit stones. 3,000 spirit stones wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. The key was that the eggs of the same species of monster birds all looked similar. Even after hatching, it was difficult to recognize. Only after half or even adulthood could it be easy to judge the species. Wang Daoyuan asked, "May I ask what species this thing is?" The stall owner smiled awkwardly. "To tell you the truth, Dao, I got this thing by accident. I haven't seen its parents, so I can't be sure what species it is." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Then fellow Daoist's asking price is not very generous. Both of them are second-grade eagle demon birds. No one wants the black-feathered eagle's egg for 1,000 spirit stones, but there are people who want the Gale eagle's egg for 6,000 to 7,000 spirit stones. You are not sure of the species of this eagle egg. If it is the black-feathered eagle's egg, then I will lose a lot." The stall owner laughed. "If it is the Gale eagle's egg, won't Dao you make a lot of money?" Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. This stall owner looked honest, but business was not honest. He waved his hand and said, "Dao, you also know which is more common between the Gale eagle and the black-feathered eagle. The probability of this egg being the black-feathered eagle is much higher. I will pay 2,000 spirit stones. If you agree, then the deal is done. If not, I will leave." The stall owner thought for a while and nodded in agreement. Wang Daoyuan gave the stall owner 2,000 spirit stones, took the eagle egg, put it in the space of the spirit bead, and left the stall. He turned around with a smile on his face. Although he wasn't sure what species the eagle egg was, it was definitely not the black-feathered eagle. When he used the divine sense eye to spy on the situation inside the egg, he felt a trace of metal attribute spirit power fluctuation. This eagle egg should be a metal-type demon bird. When it grows up, its attack power should not be too weak. Although it might not be a precious breed, it wouldn't be too bad either. If he bought it for 2,000 spirit stones, at least he wouldn't suffer a loss. In fact, he might even earn a small profit. Other than this eagle egg, he didn't encounter any other phase that caught his eye. There was no point in continuing to shop, so he simply returned to the shop. Returning to the Jade Spring Pill Talisman Pavilion, fourth brother Wang Daocheng came up to him and said, "The matter of you coming back, 12th uncle has already sent a letter. 9th great uncle said that you should go to the sundry goods store to see him as soon as you return." After hearing this, he was a little nervous. He did not inform his family and ran to Oasis to spy. When he went to see 9th great uncle, he would definitely be reprimanded. The last time he came back to buy a tier 2 talisman brush, he didn't even dare to return to the shop. This time, he was betrayed by the 12th uncle again. He couldn't hide anymore, so he had to go to the 9th uncle's cave next door. Just as he was about to knock on the door opened, and a vigorous voice sounded, "You still know how to come back?" It was such an important matter, yet he ran off without discussing it with his elders. "That place is a tiger's den. Aren't you afraid of dying there?" After waiting for 9th great-uncle to finish his outburst, he cautiously walked in. 9th great-uncle's cave was very simple. There was a stone couch, a table, and a chair. On the table was an account book, brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Wang Jida was sitting on the chair behind the table, glaring at Wang Daoyuan. When he raised his head, he saw the old man's tiger-like eyes staring at him. He quickly smiled and said, "9th great-uncle, aren't I fine? You also know that I've been clever since I was young. That group of rogue cultivators was fooled by me." Wang Jida sighed and said, "Forget it. Since you're back, I won't reprimand you. In view of your great contributions to the family, the patriarch and the elders unanimously decided to recommend you as the Wang family's 10th elder. Our Wang family has never had an elder under the age of 21. That's right, I'll give you 50,000 contribution points for the things you gave to the family. Take some time to go back to Jade Spring Peak. Now that you've become an elder, you have to go back and go through the motions." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "It just so happens that I got a lot of good things from Green Willow Province. I'll give them to the family if I don't need them for the time being. In addition, I have good news for you, 9th great-uncle. I'm already a low-grade second-tier talisman master. My success rate in refining low-grade second-tier talismans is 35%. Wang Jida's eyes widened in shock. After a long time, he reacted and asked, "Really?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. Wang Jida immediately stood up from the chair and pulled him behind the table, making him sit on the chair. He then took out 10 low-grade second-tier talisman papers and said, "Here are 10 talisman papers. Now, let's start crafting talismans. I want to see how good your level is." Wang Daoyuan took out his talisman brush and began crafting low-grade second-tier talismans. In the past few months, he had been refining pills and crafting talismans at a high intensity. In addition, he had fused with a split soul, and his spiritual sense cultivation had improved by quite a bit. Without the assistance of medicinal pills and spirit wine, he used less than 10 hours to finish using all 10 low-grade second-tier talisman papers, successfully crafting 4 talismans. His current state was not bad. At this level, even without medicinal pills and spirit wine, he could still refine 14 or 15 times a day without affecting his success rate. 9th great-uncle held the 4 low-grade second-tier talismans. "After a long time," he said with gratification, "the younger generation will surpass us in time. At such a young age, your talisman crafting level has already surpassed mine. I'm very proud to be able to cultivate an outstanding successor for the family. But I was surpassed by you so quickly. It seems that this old man is quite useless. I really don't know if I should be happy or sad." Wang Daoyuan chuckled and said, "Being able to nurture juniors who are stronger than you can show your ability. Without your guidance, how could I be where I am today?" 9th great-uncle heaved a long sigh and said, "I was too focused. Only when the family's disciples are stronger than their seniors can the family prosper. I should be happy. You also make a trip back to Jade Spring Peak as soon as possible and let the patriarch and the rest be happy too." After Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to 9th great-uncle, he immediately returned to Jade Spring Peak. He did not take the spirit ship and still used the cloud mist escape to go upstream along the clear glass river. In less than a day, he returned to Jade Spring Peak. He had to report the situation outside to head elder, so he did not return to his abode but went straight to the executive hall. Just as he arrived at the Jade Dragon Spring, he saw 3 small mulberry trees planted beside the spring. Near the Jade Dragon Spring's water outlet, there was also purple gold grass and half an acre of jasper watermelon below. Entering the executive hall, there was only head elder handling the family's affairs alone. He had always been very diligent and had been in charge of the family's affairs for several decades. He was cautious and conscientious and had never made a mistake. His importance in the family was not inferior to Wang Jian. When head elder saw Wang Daoyuan come in, he hurriedly got up and said, "10th elder has returned. Quickly, please take a seat." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "6th great uncle, don't be sarcastic. I was just lucky to find these spiritual items." Head elder waved his hand and said, "No need to be too modest. 9th brother sent a letter saying that your talisman crafting level has already surpassed his. You, the 10th elder, are genuine goods at fair prices. You go down and rest first. I'll make arrangements. Tomorrow, pay respects to the ancestors and officially appoint you as the 10th elder." Chapter 124. On the morning of the second day, Wang Daoyuan put on the clan elder's robe. This robe was not much different from the robes of ordinary clansmen, except that there was a golden fish dragon pattern on the chest. The biggest difference was that the elder's robe was a high-grade level 1 magic tool. Surrounded by the crowd, he walked into the clan's ancestral hall and bowed to the ancestors. The clan leaders stood beside the altar and read out Wang Daoyuan's appointment letter. The main content was that although Wang Daoyuan was young, he had contributed a lot to the clan and had become a low-grade level 2 talisman master, reaching the standard to become a clan elder. Then there were some words of encouragement. Finally, the Grand Elder gave him the Elder's Token. The Elder's Token was made of white jade, with a fish dragon pattern carved on the front and Wang Daoyuan's name on the back. With this token, he could command the ordinary clansmen of the Wang clan. Apart from the clan's secret treasury, with the Elder's Token, he could pass through the clan unimpeded, including the 3rd floor of the hidden scripture tower. Only the clan leader and Grand Elder knew where the secret treasury was. The others did not even have the right to know, let alone enter. After the Elder's appointment ceremony, the ordinary clansmen present, regardless of seniority, bowed to him to show their respect for the clan's elder. He returned the bow to the senior clansman to show his respect for the elders. At this point, Wang Daoyuan had officially become the 10th elder of the Wang clan. The ordinary clansmen dispersed, while the clan leader and the various elders came to the meeting hall to conduct a 3-way trial. Without notifying in advance and leaving only a letter, he went to a dangerous place alone. There had to be an explanation. In addition, they would arrange some affairs for him. Other than the 12th uncle Wang Shui, the other elders were in charge of the clan's affairs. The clan leader asked first, "Daoyuan, why did you go to the Green Willow region?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Clan leader, I heard from Zhao Baogua that he has a shop in Clear Glass City. This old fellow sells goods urgently needed by both sides between Clear Glass City and Green Willow region, making a lot of profit. I pretended to be his grandnephew and took over his business and connections in Green Willow region. The risk of this trip was not very high, and he had earned quite a lot of spirit stones. In addition, I also obtained some rare spiritual items that will be of great use to the family." His words successfully diverted everyone's attention to the rare phase. The Grand Elder asked, "What kind of spiritual item is it?" Wang Daoyuan began to take things out. He took out 5 pairs of long-eared rabbits, 5 pairs of jade-boned phoenix-tailed pheasants, 3 purple gold alfalfa, and 7 kinds of foundation establishment pills that could reproduce quickly. There were plenty of these things in the space of the spiritual pearl. It didn't matter if there were more or less of these things. However, it was of great value to the clan. Everyone was a little dumbfounded. These were all good things. Finally, he took out a stalk of green jade bamboo. The green jade bamboo he transplanted didn't stay in the space for long before it grew 3 new shoots. At this time, the new shoots also grew into bamboos. The one he took out was one of the newly grown bamboos. This time, everyone's eyes were wide open. After a long time, they finally reacted and praised Wang Daoyuan. He had successfully turned the tri-hall joint hearing into a commendation ceremony. Seeing this situation, he struck while the iron was hot. "Refining talismans is just my hobby. I'm best at finding spiritual items. Letting me manage the clan's affairs is simply a waste of my talent in finding spiritual items. Therefore, I plan to continue to find a way out for the clan in the future. I can also find some spiritual items to strengthen the clan's foundation." Everyone was dazzled by the spiritual items in front of them and agreed to his proposal without hesitation. Before everyone reacted, he continued, "Since the clan leader and the elders have agreed, I have nothing else to do. I'll go visit Taigong first. Goodbye." With that, he ran out of the meeting hall. After a while, the clan leader asked, "What were we going to discuss today?" The grand elder replied, "It seems that we were going to teach Daoyuan a lesson, but we were all stunned by the spiritual items he took out. Moreover, we seem to have agreed to let him continue to wander outside." The clan leader sighed and said, "What a clever little brat." After Wang Daoyuan escaped from the meeting hall, he went to the hidden scripture tower. When he arrived at the hidden scripture tower, he saw Wang Daoyin meditating. In the past year, this kid had grown a little taller, and his body had grown a whole size. He first bowed to Taigong and then waited for his younger brother to finish cultivating. 15 minutes later, Wang Daoyin woke up from his meditation. Wang Daoyuan scanned with his divine sense and saw that his younger brother's cultivation was at the second level of meridian opening. This speed was too slow. With his physique, he could cultivate for 4 to 6 hours a day. When he first started cultivating, his physique was much worse than his younger brother's and he could only cultivate for 15 minutes a day. Even so, his younger brother's cultivation speed was much faster than his. With his 6-inch thunder spirit root, he should be able to break through to the Qi refinement realm in about 2 years. After entering the clan for a year, he should have at least 40% of meridian opening. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Little brother, did you not cultivate seriously? Why are you only at the second level of meridian opening?" Taigong replied, "You can't blame Daoyin. This child's physique is special. His body absorbs spiritual energy, causing his cultivation to rise slowly. I can't see what kind of physique he has." Wang Daoyuan took out a few jade watermelons and gave them to Wang Daoyin, saying, "Eat as much as you want. Once you're full, use the meridian opening technique and let me see what's going on with your body." Seeing so much food, Wang Daoyin's eyes turned red. He opened the watermelon and started eating. 15 minutes later, he finished 3 jade watermelons that were more than 10 pounds each. He was finally full and started to use the meridian opening technique. The jade watermelon's spiritual energy content was much higher than that of spiritual grains. To be able to eat 30 to 40 pounds of watermelon in one go, his appetite was too terrifying. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering technique to spy on his younger brother's spiritual energy circulation. He saw that after refining spiritual energy into spiritual energy, he controlled the spiritual energy to circulate through his meridians. After one cycle, he lost 60% of his spiritual energy. After a few cycles of spiritual energy, his meridians, bones, muscles and organs were all strengthened. This was automatic body refinement. Wang Daoyuan asked Taigong, "Taigong, do you know what kind of special physique can automatically strengthen the physical body?" Taigong thought for a long time and shook his head, saying, "I've never heard of a physique that has such a magical effect. Are you Daoyin?" Then he used his divine sense to probe Wang Daoyin and said in surprise, "It's true. Usually, the food he eats doesn't have so much spiritual energy, so I didn't see it. Our Wang family's library is too small and there aren't any books about special physiques." Wang Daoyuan took out 2 storage bags from the space and handed them to Wang Daoyin. One was about 50 pounds of jerky made from long-eared rabbit meat, and the other was about 500 pounds of spiritual grains. He patted his younger brother's head and said, "Cultivate well. No matter how much you eat, I can afford it. Eat these first and I'll get more for you when you're done." Wang Daoyin asked worriedly, "Brother, is there something wrong with my body?" Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, "You have a special physique. In the future, you will be stronger than cultivators of the same level. This is a good thing. However, you must not tell others about your special physique." Wang Daoyin nodded. Chapter 125. After all, the Wang clan was only a small power. Their ancestor was only interested in killing demon beasts, so they didn't have many books. Regarding special constitutions, the Savage Sun Palace was the most knowledgeable in Zhao. The core inheritance of the Savage Sun Palace was body tempering techniques, so they were the most knowledgeable about special constitutions. If it wasn't for the enmity between the Wang clan and the Savage Sun Palace, sending Wang Daoyin to the Savage Sun Palace would be the best choice. The current situation wasn't very likely. He could only capture a cultivator of the Savage Sun Palace when his cultivation was high enough and refine him into a clone to pry into the secrets of the Savage Sun Palace. The matter of Wang Daoyin could only be put aside for now. Wang Daoyuan had another reason for returning to the mountain, and that was to learn the water dragon art and the advanced version of the mist escape. He cupped his hands towards Taigong and asked tentatively, "Taigong, are the water dragon spell and cloud escape art the simplified version? When I was cultivating them, I felt that they had great potential, but I didn't use it." Wang Jize had lived for a long time and was shrewd enough to see through his thoughts. He stroked his beard and smiled. "No need to test me. These two techniques do have higher level content. After all, the ancestor was a golden core cultivator. How could the techniques he created be of the first or second level? It's said that the water dragon art was improved from the foundation of the ordinary water dragon art. Actually, that's just a rumor. The foundation of our Wang clan's water dragon art is the 10,000 dragon seatfall, which is a supplementary technique of the art of seatfall. The 10,000 dragon seatfall is extremely powerful. In the past, the ancestor was only a golden core cultivator and used it to kill a golden core cultivator of the Savage Sun Palace. But the drawback is also obvious. After using it, it consumes 80 to 90% of one's spiritual energy. In order to make up for this drawback, the ancestor used the 10,000 dragon seatfall as the foundation and combined many other techniques to create this technique. In order to deceive others, it's called the water dragon art. Although the water dragon art isn't as powerful as the 10,000 dragon seatfall, it's more flexible and uses less spiritual energy. The water dragon art you cultivate is simplified. You can only control the water dragon to fight with the enemy. When the ancestor created the water dragon art, he imitated the innate techniques of the dragonfish. Therefore, the complete water dragon art, the water dragon can use other techniques. As for this cloud mist evasion, naturally, it's a simplified version. The complete cloud mist evasion requires a Zifu disciple to train in. Even if I gave it to you now, it wouldn't be of any use. He paused for a moment, then continued, "The complete water dragon art can't be learned by anyone who isn't a family elder. You're qualified now. It's just that the complete water dragon spell requires the use of a water dragon to cast a spell, which has an extremely high requirement for one's divine sense. It's very difficult for those below the peak of qi refinement to even get started." Wang Daoyuan did not answer. He released the power of his spiritual sense and hit one of the pine needles. The pine needle was directly cut off by the power of divine sense. Generally, qi refinement cultivators could only use their spiritual sense to move light objects if they did not use spiritual sense secret techniques. It would be difficult for them to even pierce through a piece of ordinary paper. Not to mention cutting the extremely tough pine needles. Wang Jize said in surprise, "I know that your divine sense strength surpasses those in the same rank, but I didn't expect that it's already strong to this extent. Your spiritual sense cultivation is considered top-notch among peak qi refinement cultivators. You're almost catching up to Shui. You should be able to learn the complete water dragon art." The complete water dragon art manual is on the 3rd floor of the Tripitaka block. You can go up with the elder token. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and bowed to Taigong before entering the Tripitaka block. He had never been to the 3rd floor of the Tripitaka block before. He went up the stairs to the 2nd floor, and at the end of the stairs was a door. He took out the elder token. The token flashed, and the door opened automatically. The 3rd floor was extremely spacious. There was only a bookshelf with a few jade slips on it, including the art of overturning sea, the water dragon art, and the cloud mist escape. Each jade slip was placed in a grid, and the grid was protected by a layer of light. The bookshelf seemed to be made of high-grade spirit wood. With his cultivation, he could not damage the bookshelf at all even if he attacked with all his strength. He used the token to open the light barrier of the grid where the water dragon art was. He took out the jade slip and used his divine sense to examine it. Only then did he realize that there was a layer of restriction on the jade slip that blocked divine sense. He used the heaven-peering art but was unable to break through the restriction. He could only take the jade slip downstairs. When he was downstairs, he handed the jade slip to Taigong. Taigong took the jade slip and closed the restriction on it. He handed the jade slip to Wang Daoyuan and said, "Cultivating the water dragon art requires 5,000 contribution points. I guess you also care about this little bit of contribution points. This is the core inheritance of the clan. Remember not to spread it out." He nodded and said, "Great-grandson understands. I will not spread it out." He took the jade slip and used his divine sense to study it. After memorizing the contents, he returned the jade slip to Taigong and bade farewell. Clearglass City had not reached the stage where they were selling Tier 2 spirit items. There was no point in going there now. Therefore, he returned to his residence and cultivated the complete version of the water dragon art. The complete version of the water dragon art had a much more complicated content to condense the water dragon. The condensed water dragon was also much stronger. Just by looking at the condensed water dragon, there was no difference between the complete version and the simplified version. It seemed like the 12th uncle, Wang Shui, was using the complete version of the water dragon art. No wonder his water dragon art could easily crush opponents of the same level. His own water dragon could only transform into a water dragon armor and release dragon prowess. The complete version of the water dragon art enhanced the simplified version's dragon prowess and water dragon armor. In addition, there were 3 water attribute spells: Water Dragon Prison, Myriad Dragons Emerging from the Sea, and Water Driving Art. The Water Dragon Prison was a sealed prison formed by using water attribute spirit chi. When the enemy was inside, they would be restricted from using spells. It was mainly used to trap and suppress the enemy. The Myriad Dragons Emerging from the Sea was an improved version of the Myriad Dragons Seatfall art. It reduced the explosive power and increased the duration. The large water dragon condensed by the water dragon art was divided into many smaller water dragons to surround and attack the enemy. Its power was much higher than the large water dragon. The water driving art was to control water. When one was in the river, lake, or sea, one could borrow the power of the water to attack the enemy. When using water attribute spells, the power would be greater. The water driving art was similar to dragon prowess. As long as the water dragon was condensed, it would have this ability. The power of the water driving art depended on the condensed water dragon. The stronger the water dragon, the stronger the water driving art. This was originally the dragonfish's water driving art. When Wang Qingzu used it in the water dragon art, its power was much weaker than when the dragonfish used it. The so-called divine art was a special type of spell. It did not require one to control the flow of spirit chi. With a thought, it could be released in an instant. Its power was also much stronger than ordinary spells. Human cultivators needed to be at least in the Yuanying realm to comprehend a divine art. Very few cultivators could comprehend the embryonic form of a divine art in the Golden Core realm. It was called a lesser divine art. However, not everyone could comprehend a divine art. It depended on fate. When the time came, one could suddenly comprehend it while eating or sleeping. If there was no fate, one could not comprehend it even after 100 years of hard work. Divine beasts had innate divine arts. For example, the dragon race was born with the ability to control water. Some demon beasts with divine beast bloodlines had a high probability of awakening a divine art. Furthermore, it was possible for them to awaken it at a lower realm. The dragonfish had awakened the water-driving art in the Purple Mansion realm. The water-driving art in the water dragon art was only an imitation of the dragonfish's divine art. It could not be used as one wished and its power was much weaker. It could only be considered a powerful passive spell and could not be compared to a divine art. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.